and they're serious buyers, and, you know, right, there's interest and they want to work with you, and that's a big step already. Exactly that. Any other success stories that anybody wants to share from the weekend, or?
Christine had an open house, if I can volunteer her.
It was my first open house. And so it was really for me, just getting out there, just kind of getting over the self limitations of, you know, can I really do this? So there wasn't a lot of traffic of those 4 groups that came in. 2 of them had found, I used a line that we were taught last night, how did you find the place?
Yep.
Online or by the signs, and it really did get the conversation going.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I think I thought that people would be like, oh, you know, I've got an agent, I don't want to talk to you and whatnot, but you know, that they were very conversational. One of them actually, when I texted later on to find out, they both said they had agents, so I wasn't pushing, but I was asking for seller feedback afterwards. And one actually said that she was sending her partner to see it today.
Okay, great.
So for seller agent, I think and yeah,
Well, how's your first open house?
that was my first open house. Yeah.
Well, good. It's good to know.
Felt good, and it did feel good.
Yeah.
What was it? So then,
This is in Inglewood. So it's completely outside my neighborhood, and I'm completely new to California, let alone this area. So I was a little bit nervous about being in an area that I knew nothing about. So I just, you know, I stayed true to the details of the listing and that sort of thing.
Good.
Kind of directed.
well, congrats on that, and that was the first. Amendment.
And I wanted to stop by to encourage and support her, but I ran out of time. I did stop by Rachel. And as I was leaving, I was like, well, this is wonderful, great place, good to see you, girl, blah, blah, blah. She said, and your name is? I said, I'm Tatum. She said, Tatum, oh my God, we walked through the entire. I'm glad you did.
Because like I said, I have,
My glad.
yeah,
And she
you were in
did
Clark
the
County,
right
you were in Clark County.
I just come from church. So, yeah, she didn't know what was the whole entire walk, but that was funny. But I ran out of time. I had a showing at my niece's, which is also in Inglewood,
Right.
and she's leasing her place, so
Okay.
I was managing for her. And a couple of the families that came through that met me there, they really rather, I said, wouldn't you rather buy your own than, now I'm supposed to be helping my niece, right? She was like, yes, we would, but I don't know if we're ready. And I said, you might be ready, you guys. Her husband's a contractor,
Okay.
and she's a teacher, I believe. I said, you guys are more than ready.
You know, they have special loan options.
I said they have special programs. I was trying to give it, you know,
Yeah,
the good spin and everything. So I have her information and we gotta
good.
reach out to her on my break, so.
Oh, that's the point. How do you guys break? Like every hour, or is there ebb and flows, or whenever?
Every hour.
Yeah. You guys gotta remind me that. What are setting for this, right? That's good, that's good. Well, like, you know, this is the whole start of things. You know, I've been in business with real estate for what, 4 years now. And I remember when I first started, it was just getting out there as much as you can, talking as many people as you can. And that's how things happen. And I've learned along the way, just because you focus on doing one thing, like, just because I'm door knocking, I don't get the lead from the door knock. But something else always comes around somewhere. And the time that I don't door knock and I don't do anything, nothing happens. So, you know, it's just about getting that energy and that, you know, activity out and something will happen. So, you know, the fact that Christine,
Yes.
that you're going out to do no open house, you got to do open house, I mean, that's the start. Good for you, yeah.
I want to hear how Tim's open house went. You're not getting out of this.
In my own open house, 90505 area code in Torrance, door knocks like 50 homes the day before, I made a couple contacts through that, I found out about one house that was vacant, because somebody passed away there, and some, getting some neighbor inside information, people down to help me. Another person's contact information that was down to stay up with some market update stuff. And then from that open house, there were like 8 to 10 groups that came in, something like that. I don't know exactly because I couldn't get everybody to sign in. And yeah. Yeah. And but I did come across one family who owns a condo in Inglewood. They're looking to sell that and move to West Torrance. They're not working with an agent, but they weren't as
Ready to sign?
as ready to make me their agent as they were Chris or anything like that. But yeah, I'll contact them and stay in touch with them, and
Good.
good experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
so Tim, I would suggest, so Sue came out Saturday for my opening and was my sign-in monitor. And she made everyone sign it. Even
Oh,
though
wow.
people snuck in through the garage, she went and caught them. So she was willing to do that for me on Saturday, and then Sunday I did it on my own.
Yeah.
And I missed, I think, about 15, because I did my flyer count
Mhm.
based on my sign-in count, and I think I missed about 15.
Wow.
You-
Wow. Yeah.
Wait, it's so how many
People with the sign,
people did,
so my flyer and sign-in count was off by 15.
but how many people came in then?
That's
I tried to like under value, so like,
Is this your neighbors?
yes, it is.
Oh, it's not a car, it's
Yeah.
a person.
Oh, good.
Oh, wow. Yeah. He's video on. How many offers do you have so far?
42.
So it's about around that, but there's good and bad about all this.
There's a lot of good and bad to tell you, because I met pretty much everyone that came through, and now I have that
Connection.
connection, and also that God hack. 41 of these people are not gonna get.
Oh,
this.
right.
One-
Oh,
But they're buyers, and they're potential buyers for other property.
Yeah, a lot of people came with agents too, some
Okay.
did, but some did, so yeah.
Well, if 41 offers, so imagine all of them had agent to at least present an offer to you, right?
Yes, except for the all cash people.
Okay.
But yeah,
my
and then there's some that wanted me to rep, and then there's a couple that I said to my mentor Sue to rep them. Because
Okay.
we had talked to say, you know what, like, I was already repping a couple of all cash flippers.
Okay.
And then I was like, I'm feel comfortable or it being fair to like rep family. or-
Yeah,
So I-
and that's actually one thing too about dual agency recommendation I want to talk about today too. But on the note, a little tip for you guys on open houses, how you get people to sign in. So what I've done before is I would create a feedback sheet.
Mm.
And on the feedback, you just make it very simple. What you think of the master bedroom, 1 out of 5, and you kind of just circle it. And I'll give it to them as they come and say, hey, this fellow would love to hear feedback from you, if you want to, do you mind just kind of checking things off along the way? Obviously, on the top there, you have name, number, email, right?
Like that.
So you have, they come in, and it's very casual, you're like, here's the feedback sheet, please, I can walk around the home, just throw it out, and I'll, get some feedback back to the fellows about the property.
Right.
And not everybody can say yes, but, so that you, they'll fill it in and you pass, well, you have to ask for their contact information without having them actually sign in. For more feedback, right? So that's one thing I've done before my open house, that's what it should. Right, so. But door knocking, on that note of door knocking, you always, whenever you have an open house, make sure you have those circle prospecting and door knocking around the area. I am a huge believer of door knocking. I built my business, I want to say 90% of it off door knocking.
Jesus, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was door knocking at one point, 100 doors a day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
So, that's how I started, right? Because I came from engineering, I came from overseas, I went to executive recruitment. And last year I was number 4 in the office. So a lot of that came from door knocking. And so, I believe in it. I mean, it sounds like you've done a little bit of it. It's not just doing it one time, it's consistency.
As being consistent.
It's being consistent, because the first time they slam the door in your face. The second time you come through, they go, oh, it's you again. Go away. You're not getting your door slammed in your face, one time you just go away. The third time you come through, you're like, oh, hey, what's up? Not very, the fourth time you come through, oh, hey. And that's what's happened, right? Because by the fourth or fifth time, they see me, they're like, oh, hey, how's it going now? Versus, hey, get away. And that's how you kind of have to build that consistency. And whatever it is that you guys did in process.
Let me ask you a few more questions about that circle prospecting, because that's the next stage that I'm looking to go to. So in that example, did you actually leave something with them every time?
So at a very minimum, if nobody's home, I've left something. At a very minimum, if somebody is home, they tell me to F off, I've left something with them.
Okay.
Right? Because what happens is the first time they don't know you, they don't recognize you. But the next time they recognize you, they don't want to talk to you, but now they look at your flyer. Third time, if nobody's home, the flyer left on their doorstep, they go, oh, it's this guy here. So it's just, reiterating the fact that, hey, I'm Jay, I'm the local realtor. Eventually I'm gonna talk to you, so you might as well talk to me now. And so that's a big bit. And what I've also found is based on that, if I haven't spoken to that person before, but I've left a flyer there, most of the time they say, yeah, I've seen it, but I don't really remember you. But I've spoken with them, the next time I'm, they're not home and I've left a flyer, the third time I come back, oh, there's your flyer last time. They start remembering the material that you leave too. So it really does that, and again, it's just consistent.
What were you needing?
Was that,
What were you needing?
it's a flyer.
I know,
What
what's
did it
on the
say?
flyer?
You know what, honestly, the flyer is very generic. I'll show it to you if I can show you my computer, but it just tells them what's on the market, what's in escrow, what's sold.
Market update.
Nothing, yeah, nothing crazy at all. I do put out once every 3 months, what I call a quarterly report. I've got pretty good feedback. It's a 2-pager, and it gives them a quarter by quarter analysis of what's happening in the market. This quarter, it's gone up 20% versus last quarter, that whole bit. Right. So if you guys are farming, which I 100% recommend you guys do, make your material differ from everybody else who farms that area. It's not about, hey, making it more fancy, just make it different, whatever it is. Okay, because when I started farming West Point, everybody told me there'd be 3 heavy hitters that's been there forever. So when I knocked on the door, that's the first thing they said to me, hey, yeah, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, that's great. You know what my response was? When was the last time you spoke with them? And they go, oh, well, I've never spoken with them before. But I get a lot of flyers. Oh, good. Well, look, here's my flyer. My name is Jay, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to talk to you and be able to introduce myself, right? So don't let the fact that there's a local realtor or experienced or established realtor in the area
Intimidated.
deter you from doing what you need to, even if the local neighbors are saying that to you. That's even more of a reason to go, okay, well, look, get a chance to meet me. And then let them make a decision from there, right?
So was that your kind of shtick when they opened the door and you started the conversation, hey, just wanting to introduce myself, I'm a local realtor, and then
Yeah,
see where
okay.
the conversation goes from there?
Yeah, pretty much. And a lot of times, it may not even be about real estate. Hey, look, my name is Jay, I'm actually a local realtor, but what's your name? Oh, great, how are you doing? Oh, how long you lived here for? Oh, how's the neighborhood here? Is it, and you're learning, like you said, you learned about neighbors love to chat. Right? If you get somebody that loves to chat, you chat with them. And at the end of the day here, what I do say is, yeah, I am a local realtor. If there ever is a need in the future, please keep me in mind. I'd love to get a chance to show you what I can do. Because my goal in going to these is that I know I'm gonna be back there again. So I'm not there to get a listing from you that exact moment, but I am building that relationship with you long term. Right? And so that's my objective and that's my intention. That's why I go. So, do we get? But look, this is good. I think this is more the practical stuff that I'm actually more trying to share than it is about, not to say this isn't good, but this is stuff that you can actually use in your own right? But let's get into this, right, this is, like I said, gonna be more about how we work with buyers and how we work with sellers, or just clients in general, and so this is, I guess, what you guys have been going through already. Yeah, and this is the last week before you guys officially graduate from Ignite, I think. Can I get rid of this?
Someone that really, we don't know how many.
There is a way.
Yeah.
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 Oh. There we go. So this is kind of today's agenda. We'll talk about success with clients, success with buyers, sellers, co-agents. Obviously we kept the AHAs and some daily success systems that you guys should already have in place. If you don't, we'll talk about what we need to put in place. So a big part of all this, and part of what I was kind of alluded to there was virtually, you know, to quote, have you guys already read? No, really? It's a lot. It's a lot of data, a lot of information. The first time you read it, you probably retain 10 to 15% of it. You guys keep on reading and kind of pick up key points. And as your career progresses, you probably want to go back and reference the book as well, because there's a lot of information, right? But one of the questions is virtually every top producing agent we have ever worked with has a deep and almost inherent sense of service. They have a servant's heart and place their buyers or sellers' real estate experience above all else. They're always thinking service, right? Anybody want to share kind of what their thoughts are around that, or? Yes, no?
Years ago, one of my colleagues at my former position, she was calling herself talking about me behind my back. And she was like, yeah, she's a servant. That's what she called, that's what, and I was like, how could she call me a servant? But it's not a bad thing.
Well, service. Well, we would fight service. And in that regard,
I took it as
and here's the deal.
yeah,
Right,
yeah, I'm a servant, yes, I am.
well, we're here to help,
Right.
right, we're gonna help one way or another, and that's what's going on. And I tell my clients all the time, it's not about me, it's about you. Right, I'm here to help guide and provide as much information as I can. If I'm not doing my job, or if you don't feel comfortable working with me, good luck. I'm in a good way, I don't mean you. No, I mean, good luck, you know, and I wish you best, because I want you to get a house. I'm a big believer in real estate, and everybody should own one. If I can help you do it, I hope somebody else can.
And then when I think about it, when I decided to get into real estate, get my real estate license, so that I bought my property, then I wanted all my friends to have business. And I said, well, the way I'll help them, I'll get my real estate license. And they could, well, and I had them all over my house and so what I did. And
That's great.
they ate my food, but nobody followed through. So I know they're scared, they're scared. I said, I'm willing to get it and hold it in. And then that's why I said, okay, I'm gonna get my real estate license. I mean, I already had my full-time job. I had no intention of doing this full-time. I was just gonna do it to help my friend. And so when I got my real estate license, it's like, I had one a year. Then finally, when I decided to resign my full-time job, I said, okay, I'm gonna do this full-time. But that is why I got into it, initially to help other people.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was doing my executive recruitment, before I became a realtor, I was in the process of buying my own house too. And I realized, like, there's a lot of shitty realtors. I mean, pardon my French. You know, you would go to open house and the realtor, what do they do?
Didn't come for me.
They just sat there. The guy that I bought my house from, that listed it, you know what he did? He started in the back when he went, ground.
Leave.
I didn't get it one time.
They're literally putting in the market.
I mean, they're extreme mad, but this is a realtor that are always in your face every step you take in the house. I'm like, sure, let me. So there's a fine balance between what we gotta be, but I mean, you don't wanna be the guy that's sitting in the back. But that, I mean, thinking, what is this guy doing? How do you- Right, I mean, and the whole aspect of trying to find news online, everything is done online, everybody's just looking online, it lost a very personal touch to the whole real estate process.
Sure.
Right, and if there's anything that somebody needs guidance and a personal insight on, will be the most expensive thing they ever purchased in their lives,
Yeah.
right? And so when I was in executive recruitment, I helped a lot of people with career change, and that was a very personal decision too. So I thought that I can bring that into real estate, and that's the same way in terms of service, right? That's what it is, we're providing a service to people, because at the end of the day, it's not about us, it's about how we help that person get to whatever they need to get to. Right, so important thing to always keep in mind as we go through the rest of the training. All right, so we'll start off with successful clients. Great agents provide a strong foundation for sustainable relationships. You know, like we talked about, everything we're doing is building relationships, right? A lot of the realtors that we have out there that are amazing more transactional, hey, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not how I run my business, and I don't know if that's how you guys would want to run your business in a very transactional way. Everything about building relationships, whether it's helping them with find a home or it's helping them trying to find the right roofer, or helping them find the right contractor, right? Because we have those resources, right? So it's about building a sustainable relationship, about setting managing expectations proactively throughout the transaction, creating peace of mind for your clients, and enhancing your own credibility by having all these things, the value that you bring to the table. Right? Purpose, value, fiduciary, the three levels of service that we're talking about here. I think in the REA, it talks about purpose. Anybody want to share kind of anything about purpose, about why? I mean, so what was your name?
Bernice.
What is it?
Bernice.
Bernice? So Bernice shared a little bit about her purpose. Right? Does anybody want to share about what about value proposition? Can anybody think about like what's the value proposition of what we do? Besides opening a door, I mean, that's not the value proposition, right? Anybody can open a door. But what's the value proposition that we bring to the table?
Inside.
I think we bring our life experience into every transaction or every person we meet. So, I think that's a value proposition, you know. You bring in your personal beliefs and knowledge into talking to people you meet.
Your status as a professional and the
Yes.
assumptions that go with that, your knowledge of the market, your knowledge of negotiation, finance, all of that.
Yep.
I would imagine that would be a big part of the proposition.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, everybody likes to think they know about real estate because they're on the middle, they're on Redfin. Everybody's on Redfin, everybody's on Redfin, so everybody thinks they're a realtor, right? So, but your friend, if they're they're working in finance, that's what they did. They're not in real estate, they're a finance person. Just because they're on realtor.com doesn't make them a realtor, right? So part of what the value that we can take obviously get. Number one is, one of the things is knowledge, right? Market knowledge, our experience. And what Brian talking about is also experience on how we negotiate, right? Our experience in working with certain realtors that are listening, right? So relationships that we're building with the community. Right, so there's a lot of value that we can take besides just opening your door, which unfortunately a lot of buyers think that you know, we know we're looking on Zillow.com. I'll just tell you whatever I want to go look at, you know, how many book a meeting. If that's a buyer that's what they want from me, to some extent you want to say, hold on. Here's what I'm going to bring to the table. If you can't respect that, I actually don't want to work with you. Right, so because if you're not in that expectation, then you said earlier about setting expectations, you want to be able to set that expectation right in the beginning. Right, now we are bringing value to the table, not opening the door. Right, so that also leads kind of to the third point, fiduciary. Can anybody separate the two between functionary and fiduciary?
Finance is a little bit-
What was that?
client's interest above your own.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely putting your client's interest above your own interest.
I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit before,
Yeah,
in saying like, the transactional one who's just gonna open doors rather than, no, I'm going to show you the property and take my time. Is that what I bring to the table?
yeah,
So that's what I think the functionality of the fiduciary
yeah,
really lies.
Transactional versus personal.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So it's like my tax clients, some just as a function, want me to send them something or give me a tap, can you look this up? Versus those that trust me and know that I know what I'm doing, so they don't rely on me. It's all about trust.
Yeah, it is.
So trust, the fiduciary, they have to trust you on the fiduciary side. They don't have to really, they should, they don't have to touch you, trust the act to do a favor, send me this or send me that.
So I believe we're consultants in a lot of ways, right? We are consultants in terms of how we should be communicating and working with our clients. Right? At the end of the day here, they're gonna tell us what they want, but we're gonna give them. They are the buyer, they are the seller, but our job to at least help them guide them along the way. So as fiduciary, that is what we are. We have their best interest at heart, and to your point to that, we are building trust. And how do we build trust? By providing and showing that we have value, we are bringing value to the table. A functionary is very much a transaction, right? They're just there to kind of, oh, you want to see this house? Great, here we go, let's go look at it. Oh, you want to put this offer? Great, let's put this offer out. You should be saying, oh, that offer sounds a little bit high, I think we gotta be here. Or this offer might be a little bit low, we gotta be here because or else I need to be competitive. And how do I know that? Because I built rapport with the listing agent, they told me they already had 41 offers and their offer, you're gonna be number 42, what's the point? Right, so definitely put yourself and position yourself as a fiduciary, because if you aren't starting from the right foot at the very beginning, building that trust within those expectations, you're just gonna be wasting your time. Right? So, that's something I will always have to practice. And don't get me wrong, there will be some clients out there that they're gonna send you a listing, that's all they want, and those are the clients that you put 10%, 5% of your time in, because hey, if they end up buying it, great, if they don't. No worries, because you're not putting in time in, and quite honestly, a lot of times I don't work with those type of clients in, because that's not how I want to run my business. Right, so, yeah. Dual agency. So Brian's already kind of talked a little bit about that. Does anybody know what dual agency is? Yeah. How do you guys feel about doing a dual agency transaction?
I think I would like the commission,
What?
but not.
Not the only one,
I don't know.
but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I was gonna throw that too. I was gonna say, I think it's a amazing monetary reward. However, it's difficult to actually be, a fiduciary to both parties. So.
I think you gotta be bipolar to do that.
I'm just playing.
Or Gemini.
You can't literally be a fiduciary to both parties like as well as you could if you weren't for both, right?
Okay,
I like the.
yeah, no, it's okay. Let's go around and.
I think the main thing in terms of being a due agent, as long as you disclose to both of them. That you are, both of that agent, you let the buyer know and you let the seller know. And also, so if you disclosed it, then they still have have an opportunity, because they may start thinking, you're gonna be there, and you're gonna be mad. Who are you gonna give the best service to, But I think if you disclose, and then some questions come up, you answer the question, and stuff. I don't think it'd be hard, especially as long as you have your degree of integrity.
Oh, I think that, it just depends, who doesn't want to represent both, in a transaction, that's one thing, but it all depends on
the client, right? I mean, obviously a dual agency only comes in when you're a listing agent and then you bring on the buyer as well. And typically because your fiduciary duty is to your seller first and foremost, the buyers usually think that you might show, you know, favoritism towards, you know, the seller, and I've seen it happen before where they get very emotional or they get their feelings hurt, and you're not, and you're not like, and you're not showing them enough, you know, attention, or you're, you know, you're putting the other interests, they think you're doing, you know, more. It can get dicey, it can get dicey.
I think communication is the biggest part of dual agency, and there's probably situations where I wouldn't want to venture into it, but if a buyer wasn't represented and just needed someone to prepare the contract for them, essentially. Doing the right thing by the seller, asking for their permission first, but also explaining to the buyer that your primary fiduciary duty is to the seller. And outlining, this is what I can do to represent you.
But
If you're not comfortable with that, I'm happy to also bring one of my colleagues in to represent you instead. So as long as you're fiduciarily giving them the information to know the realm in which you can actually support them and giving them a choice, I think you're.
The common thread, obviously, this is communication, right?
Yeah, I, you know, what everybody's, you know, hit on the communication part, which I'll just say it is sufficient to make it legal, I guess, legal and ethical for us, for.
It is legal in California.
Yeah, yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
by the way, I mean, just, you know, full transparency, it is legal in California.
Yeah, but I mean, to fulfill those legal requirements to proceed as a dual agent, you have to tell them, you know, so like that makes it, that makes it cool on paper, but I think basically when you have one person saying, I want to pay as little as possible, and the other person saying, I think practically speaking, that's a, well, I'm not saying it's impossible, what I'm saying, I think practically speaking, that's kind of a razor's edge.
Well, that's one point I know it's pointed out at this point so far is that communication is obviously the common thing about them. But motivation of each party also varies between people, right? So I think you guys gotta realize what's motivating people is gonna be also important how we deal with these situations. And so I want to hear from you, Brian, because I know when I come up here, Brian, he just told me like he has 41 offers, and he had also a situation where potentially representing both sides as well, right?
Yeah.
If you don't mind me bringing in.
Yeah, it's fine. So I had actually a lot of people ask me to recommend on the other side too. There's some couples, some all caps, flippers. What I chose to do is sort of really dive into sort of their motivation.
Yeah.
And really kind of explain before I committed to
Yeah.
doing both, because I did do one flipper, I did get there, and then I said something to Sue. Just because the motivation was a little bit different. And I didn't feel comfortable with the couple I sent to my mentor, repping them both, because I sort of not really felt in love with them, but I fell in love with their motivations. And I was like, you know, I don't think they could have made up the difference from other people that put offers in that it seemed based on what my seller wanted to do. You know, his motivation is quick and easy. And I didn't think that the couple would be able to make that happen. So I said, you know what, and I did tell him that. I was like, you know what, he's really looking for is not the money. It's more of the getting out of the state as fast as he can. Right. So, you know, if you guys need the time, you know, I'll send you to my mentor, and you should explain that to you, because she knew the situation too.
Right.
But I couldn't well with the cash buyer. I explained the same thing. Like, if you're gonna be on point and not go back and forth, and you're going to, be true to your word, I'll do it, and, you know, keep everything short and sweet.
Right.
Because ultimately, that's what he's looking for.
Mhm.
But I also explained to that, those flippers, I'm like, we do have multiple offers that are above and look really good too. So I'm not guaranteeing
Yeah.
the push, because like, if someone says I have a 5-day, you know, close of escrow and you have 0, you know what I mean? That's a little bit more money if he chooses that, and obviously I'm gonna push him to where this car is. And if he's willing to wait 5 days instead of like 2 or 3 of you, like, that's on him, not me, so. It's not just,
doesn't guarantee that they're.
yeah, it doesn't guarantee they're gonna get my offer, because ultimately it was my client's
They
choice.
still do nothing.
Yeah, like I said, what is the best option for you? You present everything out in the open. And you just, you know, let my seller make that choice, but it is a very.
It's a little tricky, and you know, having done a few myself, it is something that you just have to be careful how you navigate. If you guys have mentors that you work with, definitely have mentors for advice, especially you guys are still relatively new to real estate. At the end of the day, number one is communication.
So in the end, I felt like on the flipper side, it was more of a transactional
Yeah,
thing, so there was a lot less emotion, so I was like, that's fine, I was more comfortable with that, but when I turned around with the couple, I was like, you know, I didn't
Yeah.
want to like go down that road, and because, and I did explain to them, like, we have, you know.
but you know what, I'm pretty sure they've appreciated the
Yeah.
transparency that you provide and say, hey, you know what, I would love to represent, but I mean.
Yeah, and actually, I was talking to Sue today, she actually kind of went over with them. And said it might not work now, but she said she would probably send it back to me to rep them
On the budget, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah, because like I said, it was, you know, just, it's communication.
The communication is a big thing about it.
Like,
Right.
it was very easy to sort of navigate it, because I was being myself. And-
Remember to dig in, and another key on there on this motivation, make sure, I mean, every situation is different, every client has different needs, and it may not be the highest price on every transaction that the seller is looking for. Right, because it might be timing, it might be convenience, it might be a lot of different things. So if you have a buyer that can provide that. Right, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, look, I have a buyer that I actually know that would be able to help you in X, Y, Z things. Would you be interested in opening up the conversation? But very interesting topic that you guys probably dive into a little bit more if it does come up with your mentor, because every situation is different. But I think the key thing behind all this is just to make sure we're honest, we're transparent, we communicate, we find out motivations on why they, you know, what the sellers are looking for. Okay, but definitely dive in more with your mentors or other agents in the office if this situation comes up. Good, set expectations. We talked about this a little bit, setting expectations, right? And any sales role, if you guys have done sales before, or any other type of job that you might have had to fit the product, it's all about setting expectations. You guys have probably heard the saying, but under promise, over deliver, right? So managing expectations is to set yourself up and make sure that, first of all, your client understand you're not gonna get $1 million for $500,000 house, you know? And I've had to walk away, it's funny, I had to put on Instagram not too long ago, I walked away from a $1.8 million listing.
What?
Because the house was worth 1.2.
Oh, okay.
So the guy wanted 1.8, I'm like, you're not gonna get 1.8, it's impossible, yeah, I'll let you list it if you want it for 1.8, I'm like, it's not even close to 1.8, why would you want to list it? Cause you gotta put marketing material in, you gotta put in your own timing and all that stuff. Now with maybe 1.2, I mean, this guy's expectations is completely out of whack, right? So I was like, and so I was kidding around, I walked away from $1.8 million listing because it was 1.2. You know, it's not with time, right? So.
Did it go? Has it gone?
I don't think, I mean, if they just picked up that listing and wanted to list it for 1.8 for.
You haven't seen it
You
yet.
haven't had much. No, so. It's not gonna stop. But I mean, you know, to that point, setting expectations, right? And that's what we do, that's what we need to do from the very get-go to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. Do you guys have something like this that you guys present on a listing presentation or a buyer's consultation?
The PowerPoint, you mean?
So this is kind of a general overview of a real estate transaction, right? From talking with the agent, getting pre-approved, search criteria, finding home, all the way through to post-closing. If you don't have something like this, I strongly recommend you put something together and have it in your listing presentation or have it in your buyer consultation, just so that you have some sort of a, you know, when you work. Yeah, as part of that setting expectations and letting your buyers or sellers know, hey, look, this is what we're gonna be going through.
I think Michelle had this on Friday, didn't she? Who was here Friday?
Oh, that was just
Is this what Michelle had?
the one that you passed around?
Yeah.
No, that was,
Checklist.
that was the MLS, like when you're posting on the MLS.
If you guys don't have this, I can try to get a copy and send it out, or have Holland send out a copy to you guys. I run through this every time I sit down with the buyer. And my sellers as well, but more so on the buyer side, so they know what A to Z looks like. Now, they're not gonna remember everything, but at least you have something now you can reference back to when it comes to negotiation terms. Like, all right, guys, remember that chart I showed you in the very beginning? Probably not, but we're at the negotiation terms portion now. So you have something to kind of give yourself a little bit of reference point too, okay? But this should be in your written presentation, this should be in your buyer consultation presentations as well. Okay?
Ryan, didn't you, your presentation, you got it off command.
I got, no, I did the CMA.
The CMA?
On the,
Am I right? So that's the CMA, but you're right, there is a sample buyer consultation guide, and it does have it. So in Command, if you haven't played around with it yet, go to Command, there is a sample buyer template that you can play around with, there is a chart. This is good.
I did look at that, but it was very, well, not complicated, but there's a lot of work to plug in. Prior to as.
So there's two on that. There's one that's like literally very detailed. Point one, it has like 10 bullet points. Point two, that's 10 bullet points. That's very detailed. And what I always tell my buyers is, look, here's the detailed portion, but when we sit down, here's what I'm gonna go through with you here. Let's talk about this. And then when you take this home, you can go through the details and let me know if you have any additional questions. But definitely have to, but yeah, on Command, buyer template, this will be enough. Okay. Set time expectations. So let's,
So you give them that before they found a home
yeah, I give this to them
in the beginning.
when we do a buyer. You guys, first of all, you guys know what a buyer consultation is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I'm doing a buyer consultation, I'm giving them that. I give them that template. Actually, I use the template. I fine-tuned it to what works for me, which I suggest you guys should be doing as well. But there's enough, there's like 40 or 50 pages in there. You don't need 50 pages in a buyer consultation.
Can you run me through briefly what your buyer consultation looks like?
Yeah.
You're doing an appointment for a potential client.
I do. You know what? Maybe that's all real quick. I'm gonna show you guys this.
How many kids do you have? How many, you just have one?
No,
I was looking at you.
no, I
You
have
have two?
I have two little ones.
Okay,
I don't know if you
You came back with one and had a second one?
was it?
You came back here with one and you had a second one? You
Yeah.
came back-
Yeah, I'm not. I did. Well, you know, I was thinking right with that, because I was in Shanghai, and Shanghai is not a good place to be raising my little baby, we should have there. We came back with one and I had another. I know that.
Is that when they still has one baby rule in China?
I think they still have that. But they've opened up, if there's certain ABC things that your family falls under, then you can have another.
okay.
Let me grab Holland real quick.
It's great time anyway.
It's my, I'm on to it.
Know how to project on the screen. You want to know how to project from your computer? Might be able to show you. You have to go into your settings and bring up the setting. Okay, you have them already.
So.
No,
I-
settings. And then under your display.
Oh, I just got a break.
Now go here, and bring that training room, training room,
Huh.
put in that code, and you go.
So now how do I switch back?
You just turn it off.
Oh, no, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now. Just hold it, and then you go to that display. screen, and then off.
I write down the instructor.
So late.
Now you can go and fire presentation and everything.
Now-
Oh, yeah.
We have Monday also. Next meeting. Well. what was it? I was telling you that's like, no, you're not listening. Yeah. Viewpoint. No, viewpoint. That's what we're all doing.
They got a whole lot of nothing. Right? You don't want money in a situation where like. Now, because then there's something
Was
happening.
it something I did, or was there something that? Yeah. Well, and it was great too, that the listing agent, you know, for the house today. And she only had one room on it. So. I called around to anyone who had to speak, and this was, it's still, so. Coordinator for the houses and she's going to be touched. So I would like to do something more local to this area. But I did notice one of my observation points, doing a condo. So I was gonna have my husband come and sit at the entrance so that he could let people in. But I have a sign that said, call me to gain entrance. And on the road, double check to see. This is number. It's, I mean, so it's one.
Be quite interesting. I mean,
Opposed to a house, you're not getting, but you know, people can easily see in and out without actually signing in. Yeah, and the funniest observation, real estate agents were the worst. There was two that were on their own and two that came in with real estate agents. They actually got people to let them in because I couldn't figure out how to do the lockbox, and I'm like, so you didn't see what's sorry, right there at eye level, they're like, sure, it's to be like you never take off. I'm like, oh.
so the two that have agents.
Got one of them, and then the other one had been in contact, and Diana, the agent of Foley, there would be 2 agents coming through. And he was another Keller Williams agent off, but from, more downtown LA. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna get in touch with Diana. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
You don't know that you have.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, that Southwood part. Yeah. I'm actually moving to that area.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Like, it's set in stone?
yeah, well, the renovation process.
Awesome. For what street?
Scott,
Yeah,
yeah,
right on.
yeah.
Very cool.
I used to know, when I first started. I used to go 190 with the Sepulveda. Prospect to Hawthorne. And that was a good 7,000-8,000 homes, and now it's like.
Oh my.
190th Fulvetta?
Yeah,
That's so
Off like
far.
what street, like, you,
that's
like Anza, or where would you walk?
You said Hawthorne.
Hawthorne.
Wait,
From
Hawthorne,
Prospect.
Prospect.
Yeah.
okay,
Prospect. Oh my god.
that's huge.
That's.
That's all another- that's like-
Way smaller than that, because I lived in that pocket, but like,
The first time I remember not, I did that whole loop and I was like, just.
that's
I was
huge,
just-
yeah, that's a lot.
I was like, I did it maybe twice and I was like, this.
Because you can't go back off of
I
it. Like,
feel bad, but then I don't remember anyways. So yeah, I'm like, this is pointless because by the time I come back again, it's like almost 9 minutes.
How many doors that was? I said, I can't even imagine how many doors that was, because we lived in our area, right, and that was like, what, 900? Like,
Yeah.
little- That's crazy.
It's too much. I mean, it's very ambitious when I first started.
I mean, I love it.
Yeah, so that's why like. I don't get that.
That's such a, the West High area is so great though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually went to West High.
You guys wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why a lot of people want to get in my area, it's cool. Cool neighborhood.
Yeah.
But you depend on that, I said, if you pass to someone north of. North Florence, they will have met.
Okay.
I would have met them one time or another.
Probably, yeah. And actually, they used to live on Lillian Street forever, and then they moved to Steve Ann, which is literally the next street over to the office there.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah. And John Briscoe actually sold them their home.
Yeah, I mean,
2010.
John was one of the guys that the neighbors were always talking about, that they
Yeah.
I've knocked on John's old house before, because he grew up in an area, he grew up in the neighborhood.
I didn't know that.
That's why you know that everything well.
That's why I want to work that area, because I know it's super well, I know all the streets, and
Oh, you going knocking that area?
I haven't started, I started
You
doing.
can that, I'm not doing that.
No, I started doing the area that you don't do, the west of Henrietta. I started doing all that. Yeah. I was gonna say, everybody's telling me about Ron.
Marty.
Last name. I got the same things though about like, oh, blah, 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 owns this neighborhood, that.
Oh,
It's a Ron and his son.
no,
I can't remember his last name. And Linda McDonough too.
no, they're not, yeah, they're not.
Wait, what? Please tell me, what are you? Oh, really? Really? Yes, what?
Yeah, I know you're not,
That's so funny. I'm glad you told me that. I was-
you're actually really good. I always said that he actually going nuts, and he's been doing this for like 30 years.
Okay.
And he actually goes. Hits it every time, so he's pretty good. Yeah, he does that area. He doesn't come down the hill to where I.
Yeah.
So, but he's actually. pretty good.
I thought about doing your area as well. That's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah, I really want to do Reddick's Anza. Yeah, go for it. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
He knows what he's on.
Yeah.
It's, for sure.
Hey, Tim, did you use that, the,
The farming app, but yeah.
so
Yeah, it worked. It's, great to
Yeah.
keep track of stuff.
That's my analytical brain, like, how do we do the door knocking and not keep track of every door that we go to? So you said farming app?
Yeah, I guess all the title companies have like farming app. I was using,
Something.
What's the one you use?
I don't know if I want to stick with it, but it's called Fidelity Total Farm.
Oh, that's.
Oh, okay.
But that's kind of, that kind of like,
It's,
That's another
you
joke.
can, you like pick an area,
yeah,
draw whatever you're at, and then you can like kind of. Specify it even more, and then you can draw like the walk order that you're gonna walk, exactly.
yeah.
And then, so then when you go, it's just like, boom, property, who holds title, the last sale price, and then you just, yeah, you can write notes where they
So you can write notes on.
yeah, you can write notes, you can say like, were they home, were they not home, or are they a lead, have all these different tags for that, and then swipe to the next one to the next door.
Okay, that's
You
pretty
know,
good.
this is pretty cool.
Oh my god, I missed that. Let me try again.
There's a couple.
Is
What
that
about the Pacific title?
Yeah, and then like Patrick's,
Yeah,
title path, his, Pacific Coast title.
Yeah.
is a similar app, another farming app.
Huh.
Yeah.
I never- that was-
I use something very, very like basic for the story, 'cause it's not very good. I actually keep notes myself.
Like handwritten stuff,
Handwritten.
yeah.
I was gonna do that, but I thought there has to be a more efficient way to do this.
Yeah.
Like, we're not, so we're not having to carry it all around, right?
Yeah, I have to, I'm trying to figure out a little way to that.
Yeah.
So, but that's just kind of funny. I have an Excel sheet, I put it on where the shit I'm walking, and I just have it on clipboard and flyer.
Like a little check, left the thing, I didn't leave.
Whatever. And that's another thing, right? If you talk to somebody, you wrote down a note of what you said to that person, so next time you come through, then you remember.
Yeah.
But I was noticing the Pacific title, and also one thing that I like, for instance, you could filter by how long they've been there, so.
I'll come down and tell you that, oh, yeah.
Well, I thought that was very cool.
All the stuff you can like add to your database, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When I put in the block order, like the, anything that's red is somebody that I have personally marked, they're not home. Right, red is they're not home, and this color it is, they're not in, whatever. Go one at a time, they have all this stuff, but. Yeah. Select the next one, and you can.
Really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so. I think it was, yeah, was it Pam that asked, or was it?
I think it was me that actually did.
What I stated?
Yeah.
Right, so in a bio consultation, this is kind of what I go through in the very beginning. You guys should put something like this together too, if you guys don't have it yet, maybe try to make it look good.
I forgot my glasses, yeah, please, if you could blow it up, thank you.
Very, very generic, very top level, but at least it starts conversation. So whenever I go to a brief, I always think fun, right? You start off wide and kind of come. So that's the mentality you should have when going to a brief. I list out every single thing that potentially you guys could be going over when you're doing the bio consultation. So, you start with small talk. I'm an engineer, so my mind works very analytically, like, I need to have process and I need to understand, like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. So I always set an agenda from the very beginning, right? Here's what we're gonna go over bio, we're gonna talk about a little bit about, what's going on in your family, what's going on in your life. We'll talk a little bit more about what it is that you guys are looking for in a home. And then I'll be able to share a little bit about my insight and what's going on with the market and see how we can get you guys into new property. Right, so it's kind of like, okay, what you guys looking for, what's on, and then, right, so. I always set an agenda, I know that when I, what's going on. One key question you should always be asking is, motivation, right, why they're looking. What changed, what's making you want to really look now versus look 6 months ago? Or maybe you did look 6 months ago, what's making you more motivated now versus what you were 6 months ago? Right, you're just kind of pre-qualifying in a certain way, right? Making sure that they're legit. How long are they looking for? This question will tell you very clearly if they are serious or not. And if you're not asking how long you've been looking for it, and sometimes they might say, oh, you know, we've been kind of looking off and on. Right, we've been looking on and off for about a year, we looked on Vestfin, Zillow, okay, well, what's changed now? That now I'm talking to you, that we're looking to really get it going. You're basically trying to find out if you're really motivated, really, are you ready for an offer?
Are you really serious now? or-
Yeah, like, what's changed from a year ago to now, right? So why now? So, another key question I would ask, you know, oh, okay, so you've been looking for a year or whatever it is. What have you seen that you like, what have you seen that you don't like? About the market in general, about the homes in general. Right? What do you think, if they're, are they renting, are they looking, are they? When you ask this next question, what are you gonna do with your current property? Let's say they're renting, obviously nothing, right?
Right.
But if they own a home and they say they're gonna sell, you almost wanna park that in the back of your head, because you don't wanna talk about selling now, right?
Right.
But you still wanna be in your buyer consultation group. But you wanna park that in the back of your mind, so you know you're gonna come back there later. Because hey, if they're gonna sell, obviously, right?
Hello.
All right, yeah, I know a realtor, right, so. Key thing as well here, have they worked with the agents before? And this kind of goes back to setting expectations, right, like, what does that mean? Because if they haven't worked with an agent before, you also want to set the expectation that I am your agent. Because what you don't want to happen is they then go into an open house, the agent at the listing open house, you know, if they're doing their job right.
Right.
Hey, come up with me, right? So you want to be able to set that expectation, I am now representing you. Okay, what do you like, what do you don't like about working with agent? What are your experiences? And try to pick up cues from there, from what then you can use. That you don't do the same thing that they have that experience with. Yeah. So all this right here is just general, right? About what's going on, what they're doing. And then you dive into, good. Tell me now. What are you looking for? Right? This is all information, guys. Right? All this, what are you looking for, location, all this kind of stuff. You always want to have the dialogue, oh, you're looking for 3-bedroom. Okay, well, why are you looking for 3-bedroom? Because you have two kids. Oh, okay, great. So one kid, you need an office, do you need a 4th-bedroom? So this is where the dialogue back and forth happens, right? So as much as we talked earlier about being a functionary versus fiduciary, this is still to some extent that same line, right? Because some agents might just say, okay, well, my client's looking for 3-bedroom. Fine. No, my job is why are you not also looking for, or why are you looking for? You want to ask the question and dig a little bit deeper, right? Because then you find out real motivation behind that. Instead of just saying, oh, you want 3-bedroom and that's what you do. Don't do that. Okay. This is where you start looking at all the kind of what I call more the technical bits of the searching process. Right? What are you looking for? What are you looking for? All that kind of stuff. This is where you bring your value. Market knowledge. I'm gonna have your comp in your, you guys know how to do comps, right? Have you guys kind of gone over that a little bit already, how to do comps?
We're in class.
Have you guys already seen CRA
We had one class.
around that? So that, yeah, okay, we'll see if we can get to that. I mean, obviously that's very important, right? But I don't want to also shortchange you on that, because I can show you in 5 minutes, but then you probably want to really get into that. You have a question?
And did Bob show us something, how to know the market or something? We went on MLS and he said this gives you your stats, you know what the market is looking like.
I missed one of Bob's classes, maybe it was out.
Do you remember it? Anybody remember
I do,
that? Do you remember what he did?
but it was like a market report. It
A
was
market
like
report on.
Okay, maybe that's.
It was,
that wasn't
it was
enough.
it wasn't.
But we'll get to that then. I mean, I guess in this part, this is where you want to have your comp there. You want to have your market. If you go in 90503, what is that? Oh, this is what on the selling for. Your budget 1.1, well, you're not gonna get what you want for 1.1. You're gonna get it there. So this is where you show your market knowledge. Now that you have all this information here, quite honestly, here, for the first bit, all I'm doing is asking questions. Right, that's all I'm doing, is asking questions, getting information. This is where I'm actually starting to talk. And starting to share and being, okay, this is what you guys should be looking for. Well, have you guys considered it? Have you guys considered this area? Oh, you haven't, okay, well, okay. So this is where I get into that. This is where you guys need to get research and ready for it, okay? Then the last bit, making sure you get pre-qualified, if you're not a mortgage person, setting timing. We know the slide earlier about setting expectations on timing, right? Just okay, look, I tell my buyers from start to finish, my goal is to get you from today, when we're talking, to into the house within 3 months. If that's taking longer than that, something's not working. Because 1 month is desperate.
Right.
If I can't find your house in 2 months, I'm going on. Either I'm not doing my job or you're not serious. Right, so I'm setting expectations right from the very beginning. And if they go, wow, 3 months, that's a little bit too quick for us, then you start, no, what does that mean? Because 1 month is gonna be escrow, I'm only looking for 2 months. Which is quite honestly quite long. Right, obviously there's certain factors you can't control, there's no inventory, there's nothing out of the market, stuff like that, but then that also means, hey, buyer, you need to adjust your expectations, because the inventory is not there. Okay. So that's setting expectations right from the very beginning. What prevent you from buying the house? Would there be any reason why we'll stop the project? If they say no, great. Are you sure there's no reason? Sometimes they don't know what they don't know. Then you start throwing that out there. We think that's an asset. But they still say no, then fine. Point is you pro. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but you guys always have buyers. What do you call it, buyers, representation.
I agree with that.
We're told that we should.
But we should always.
You should. And look, if you're meeting a buyer from an open house that you don't know, you should. I'll tell you what I normally do, obviously if it's a friend, if it's somebody that was referred to me from a good client. I'll be honest with you, if I'm working with you, I'm working with you exclusively. If you're not comfortable with that, that's fine, then I can't work with you. If you work with me exclusively, normally we're gonna have to sign up on the document, but look, let me know. If you're not happy with my service, whatever reason, like I said earlier, thank you, hope you guys find it out. I don't expect that to happen, but if that does happen, be transparent. Right? Those are for people that I know. Obviously, for you guys, the message should be have it right.
Yeah, the two that I have done, I always have them sign an agreement because I've been in the presence of other agents who were talking to prospective buyers and I heard them ask them, do you have an agent? And the buyer told them, yeah, they did have an agent. And the agent kept talking to them and everything. And then the next thing you know, those people, they.
Yeah,
something,
that happens.
I think we'd like to use you. And I'm sitting there thinking, what about the agent? They said they had. And I just decided, nope, I'm not gonna worry about this, not gonna sign an agreement with me. Once I get to that point, you got to sign an agreement with me, because I don't wanna get out showing you probably didn't find out you don't went with somebody else and they didn't tell. So with that agreement, and so I found it worked really good.
I have a question. I know that like when you're doing a listing agreement, you usually set it out for same, is it 90 days or, are they the same time frame for both?
6 months.
Okay,
Well, let's say I would do 6 months.
and then buyers 90 days?
Yeah, you did the same. You want to do good stuff.
I'm not gonna like putting your part right.
They push that. Yeah, but I would say if you guys haven't yet, make something like this, so at least you have some structure going into your buyer consultation. And then obviously, as it happens, there's gonna be fluctuations on that. At least it's will give you a bit of time.
So question, so when you do an open house
Yeah,
and you have someone that loves you like that man loves my husband.
yeah.
So then when does he ask for the buyer representation?
So have you guys put up a time to sit down and do a proper bioconsultation. No, you're gonna call him today, good, but I can do that. In that meeting, you would say, great, you want to draw this. I said the only requirement I have is you have to work with me exclusively, how we do that is by,
Side agreement,
have an agreement.
but if you're the meetings,
There's no, they're not handcuffed.
right?
But I just want to understand, I just want to make sure that we're both on the same understanding, there's a commitment to work together. Oh, that is, right? And if you're not happy with it, then. So, yeah, that's not gonna happen, right? Because I'm professional and all other things. Right? So. This is what I have here, I would say as an exercise for you guys should put something together, even if you think you already know it, type it down and write it. And then bring it here. Right, and then keep on doing it until you have this like in the back of your head. Okay? But this is kind of just answer your question, kind of what I do,
Thank you.
right? Oh, you know what, since I have this open. You asked me earlier what flyer do I bring?
For door knocking or?
Yeah, when I that's what I bring.
Something.
So, you know, when I do or not, you asked me, something I told you, why do I leave, so. When I do my normal door knocking, this is a simple flyer.
That's a simple one.
Yeah.
You're an engineer. Yeah. Engineer.
You like that? That one? My wife was like, cheap, I'm like, what? So, this is what I have door knocking and I leave. I mean, like I said, there's really nothing here. My whole purpose is to at least give them something so that for a conversation start. That's the whole purpose of this door knocking, right? That's what I do.
I think I've seen your flyer this year, yeah.
You have.
You might have.
Yeah, no, it sounded, it looked very, yeah.
Let's see the babies.
This is my baby, because this is my. This is a lot of work. But this is what I do every 3 months. So this is the quarterly report that I have. They're two page folder, right? So it's a lot more details, a lot more information, comparison points. So this is 2 pages, and this gives you an idea of what's happening on a whole quarterly basis.
Yeah, this is something that we could get from that one that Bob showed us.
Real
Like
estate.
the market report,
okay.
like
Oh.
this is what he would do.
Yeah, this is what I
And
would.
we got that from the MLS.
Okay.
All this information from MLS.
Yeah.
This is MLS. This is just, you know, MLS. It's just putting together, and quite honestly, I just copied this.
And then put your.
And I put my stuff on it, right? And then obviously this information is for my farm. This has gotten such good feedback, and if you guys are farming, take it, copy it. Do it for your farm, because I don't think a lot of people did. And so. This is what I take once every 3 months to go door knock. And then other months that are in the quarter, I take another 1 page.
Do you do direct mail at all or not?
I don't, I mean, people do as well.
But you're so comfortable with door knocking.
I mean, yeah, I want to pay for that. It gives me a reason to go out there and
It's
do
expensive, yeah.
do this, right? But that's a quarterly report that comes out. Okay.
So
But that's
can you email that?
Yeah, I can email this. I'll give you a hard copy if you want a hard copy.
Okay.
So a way to pull up that market report.
And that,
So it's supported through our
I
MLS.
do that once every 3 months.
and then what do? You do it monthly, that is the market?
Yeah, the monthly is just this.
Okay.
Yeah, monthly is just that.
And that's also MLS.
So, yeah, so what happens is, because this has to be updated information, so I put out 500. So if you guys are farming, another idea is this, right? You print it out, you committed down 500. This information is only valid for X amount of time, right? Before it moves to here, or this moves to here, this is gone. So you forcing yourself to get out there and do it before, you don't, because you don't do something.
Misinformation.
That's like 2 months old, you're like, so you force yourself to do it because 500, you should be knocking out in 2 weeks. Right? 250 a week, 50 a day. If you guys are door knocking, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
so, right, so that gets you into this.
Can I ask how often do you hit the same home? Yeah,
If I do consistently, probably every 3 to 6 months.
okay, yeah,
So you see them every once every
3 months, that's been cool.
4 or 5 minutes. I mean, that's more than enough. They probably won't see it.
Right, all right.
They probably won't see me too much. I don't have big conversations with all that.
So when you first door knock, then you go back and 4 times. So is that 4 times in a year, 4 times in a month?
No, like I was saying, depends how big your farm is. Right, if your farm is, let's say I have 3,000 homes on my farm. If I'm doing 500 a month, that's the difference. Obviously, one day is that much, right? So if your farm is 1,000 homes, depends how big your farm is. But I'll imagine if you can't pick your home every month. I mean, sorry, that's not a bad idea, because it's not recognizing you,
Yeah.
right? And by the way, you have to catch them every time. You gotta keep that in mind. You have Dalvin Home. So give you some idea, so when I hit 100 homes. You probably have between 30 to 40 people actually be at their door.
Does that include apartments?
I'm not doing the market,
Okay.
because then you can't sell the product,
Yeah.
right? So I'm only doing a single family.
Okay.
So, yeah, so you're doing about 30 or 40 homes and 100. My goal is to eventually have my spreadsheet of how to say I've met every single homeowner. That's my goal. Right, but that's. Still in process.
But you can get buyers in apartments.
You get buyers,
So you get buyers in apartments, so that's,
What I'm doing right now,
yeah.
I have a neighbor, she's.
Yeah.
you can get buyers from a buyer. But,
Can I ask what time of day do you go? Door knocking?
I try to do whatever I can, but I have found recently. Fridays have been pretty good because everybody's working from home on Fridays, right? So a lot of people are at home. Afternoons. Are pretty good. But then again, like you said, you're hitting up a lot of empty nesters that have been there for a long time, they're off there in the mornings. Right, so. people
When did
get
you
up-
go, Tim? Did you go in the morning?
Yeah, when I went to like a very, place that's known for being a lot of empty nesters, and I went from like 10 to 2. And a lot of people were home, like a lot more than I thought would be, so, yeah. But probably won't work for everywhere.
Yeah.
When you door knock that, I mean, it's especially that many folks. How many of those folks that you find home? How many of them, or what percentage of them give you like their all of their information? I mean, I've found that like even around the hospital, a lot of folks are kind of reluctant to give me their email address.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, quite honestly. Maybe 5-10%,
Okay,
but you won't know unless you ask.
yeah,
That's not something I'm asking,
okay.
right? Because if you get 5 or 10% every time, if I'm hitting up 40 homes, I get 2 or 3 every time. Eventually I'll get everybody. Right, so, I mean, like I always say, you don't ask, you don't know. Right, so you gotta ask, you just have to ask. And again, it's part of the competition too, right? I mean, if the building for the report, I'm out. They're telling you F off. You know, by the way. So it's all part of that. Report.
You asked for their, sorry.
Oh, you're already talking, Tim, I'll go after you.
I'm terrible. I'm sorry.
No.
I was gonna say, do you ask for their information, like the first time you're meeting somebody?
The competition, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of flow conversations going like that, yeah.
I was just gonna ask if what, the people that do provide contact information, do you, obviously you're adding them to your database or
Yeah.
not? And then, so now obviously we have a drip campaign in our database, right? So now they're getting the door knocking information and they're getting your drip permit? Okay, just making sure.
So yeah, I have every month I send out an email just about, stuff. In my database, so they'll get that if I have the information. Then I also have this, and then I also started like a Facebook ad. And if you're talking to your title person, they can just narrow it down to your farm, so that only your farm sees your ad.
That's awesome.
So now they also see this flyer that I dropped off at the door, that ad. If they're on Facebook or Instagram. So if they don't get out the door, they'll see that there, or they'll get it on a monthly. So you're seeing hopefully multiple times.
Do you use command?
Yeah. No, I do use command. Well, I do use command.
You're being recorded.
When I get the template, when I make, open house flyer. I use command. I use camera. I use camera. Not familiar.
Use a different CRM or?
I just use LineDesk. Quite honestly, I should probably update my marketing database. That's probably like my worst right now. But I use LineDesk. LineDesk has all my data in there. It has a drip that I can do in there, and that's kind of all I needed to do. I put out Christmas cards on there, so it's very basic. I feel like I'm very old school in a lot of this stuff, even though.
We gotta get you on command.
Right? But I mean, look, command's great. I mean, obviously, as a new agent, you put all your database in there and it does all you need it to do. I'm sure there's tons of functionality in there too.
What did you call it, Linus?
LineDesk.
Oh, Lion Den?
Actually, if you click on it, it's free.
Let me see, is it
Um,
an app in the phone or?
No, on MLS, you know how it has like all these apps and stuff? It's one of the options.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it's like a follow-up on, like all the rest of them.
yeah, you put your database in there. LineDesk.
No. They're not listening through. Just wanna make sure I get. I'm terrible for speaking.
LineDesk.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're on MLS, it'll actually be on the. So if you're on MLS, you have the external links on it, like that.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so you can use that. It's free. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll be sure to not use command.
Hmm?
I'll be sure to not use command.
Everybody has their own.
You didn't hear that from me. Alright, so. Alright, this is kind of what we've been talking about already. You guys use this now? I have used this before. You guys use KWS?
Yeah.
Right, so. I'll get rid of this thing now.
That's on the TV, so.
Oh, it is, okay.
I didn't
There's TV.
know recommended the streams.
Yeah, probably like a backflip.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, it's booked it. So, yeah, so asking for reviews, obviously, we're not gonna. Ask for reviews, right, so reviews, you guys know what to ask for? Like what type of information that they should be putting down? Like, speed, communication, you're gonna highlight the key things that people look for, right? If I don't down, they would have very much, if you're talking to fellow, especially, hey, can you write something about my market knowledge? How well I sold your property, how I marketed the property, right? Those are things I wanted to highlight. Like speed of sale, your marketability, how well you marketed to people. Obviously professionalism. Can you believe that was just only one section they wanted to go over?
We asked a lot of questions.
Well, no, the questions are good, right? Like I said, it's all about practicality on the side. Anything anybody want to point out on our hands, or? Should we just move on to the next one? All right. Success with buyers, I mean, we've talked a lot about this, but kind of just a little bit more. What do buyers want most from their agent? How about the negotiation, terms of sale, you guys know what terms of sale means? Like all the other contingencies, right? Price negotiation and others being, being paperwork, comps. How much they can afford, financial stuff, right? So obviously the big part of all this is, helping them find the right property. So what we said earlier, I mean, if the buyer expects you to help them find the right property, and if they say, look, I just want to look on Zillow, I send you the lead, and you open the door for me, I mean, that's not what we're here to do.
So if they say that, then what do we don't accept that, like we just tell them, I'll send you the information from the MLS, if they want to send you like homes from Zillow.
Yeah, and that's fine, I think what we were saying earlier was that there's a lot of buyers, they say they know what they're doing, and I don't need your help, I just need you to open the door for me. Like, I'm on Zillow every day, so I'm you open the door. We'll set the expectation that that's not what we do.
Yes.
We do that, but that's not the only thing we do.
Yeah.
So that's the conversation you want to set in the very beginning, so that they know that we bring more value to the table.
Nice.
So this is kind of what we've already kind of just talked about when we looked at buyers, right? Buyer need analysis. Who's gone on the buyer consultation here? Has anybody?
I mean, I've been showing.
You wanna share your experience?
Me?
Yeah,
Oh, Rachel.
Rachel, you wanna share your experience? I mean, what is good, bad about the buyer consultation?
You know, it's funny because you learn every time is different, so
Yeah.
every buyer's consultation is gonna be a little different, but you know, you do learn through it. For me, it wasn't where we sat. For me, it was more like hands-on. Well, let's do this now, let's do that, this is the next step, so when I work with my buyers, you know, I showed them the next step. I told them the next step, but I never sat with them and came to the office and said, which I wish I would have.
Mhm.
But with my next buyer, I do want to do that. I want to come into the office, sit down and do the buyer's presentation for them.
Right.
But like have a one-to-one like that, I do want to do that.
Okay. But yeah, okay. Oh. Did you want to share what was your buyer consultation like?
Well, my buyer consultation that was before this. So I did, I had it at my home office, that was the real estate deal right now. And the main thing I do, wish I had had a list like what you showed them. But I did spend a lot of time listening to the buyer tell me where they wanted to buy their home. But where they wanted to buy their home, I did know about, you know, getting information about what prices, the homes in the areas they wanted. I spent a lot of time talking to them, you know, what we're looking at, what you're talking about paying. The homes in that area, they just really, and I just didn't know how to, you know, I didn't think I handled it very well in trying to steer them, you know, to let them know, you just ain't gonna get a house here. I'm telling you, based on what they were telling me they want to pay, and we're looking at, you know, looking at the numbers right here. That's why I said, I wish I had known that. But a lot of time, it really is important, like you say, you know, start broad and then narrow
Down.
it down. Because when we did get down to, okay, how many bedrooms, talk about how many bathrooms and stuff, then that did help me get them to look at different prices, because then I got to understand, look, they really didn't need, they were saying they wanted a 4-bedroom, but based on what they were saying, they really didn't need a 4-bedroom, they weren't talking about another room for the office, another room for a gym at home,
Right.
just based on, so then we could talk about, you know, well, do you think, you know, 2 bedrooms would really have, they only have 1 kid, and, well, yeah, and then now they're thinking about prices based on this. So that did really kind of help, and I can see how having had a list like this, that really would help the process,
Yeah.
that consultation a lot better.
You know, you guys will have some buyers sometimes that will come to you and say, this one will have looked at. Right, there will be buyers that want to jump into it. We almost want to say, hey, let's, yeah, it's fine, we'll go look at it, but right afterwards, we'll do the buyer consultation. Right, because just, I've jumped, I mean, I've done it both ways, and I think maybe you guys should experience it. I've looked at buyers that we just kind of went and looked at the house and then did a buyer consultation. It kind of leads nowhere in my experience, because it's kind of just, right, you're kind of just going and working as it happens. Oh, yeah, we saw this out, yeah, actually, we don't really need it. Damn, I wish I'd known that.
Yeah.
So you almost want to, but, so there's a balance, right, because
Yeah.
you also don't want to pull them back so far in terms of
Right.
timing, and now they're not even going and looking at homes. So you gotta find that right balance in terms of when do we set this buyer consultation? You know, does it have to be before we see that first house? Ideally, yes, but if it's preventing you from moving this process forward, yeah. Use logic. See that first house, meet right afterwards. It's very important that we have this down from right from the very get-go. Okay, so you're setting expectations. I mean, all this stuff we kind of already talked about, right, in terms of the digging into and probing buyer needs. Talk about buyer words. I mean, so this is kind of what you're talking about, right? Having that tough conversation. Hey, like maybe your budget doesn't allow you to have this conversation or have this area. Right? What does that mean? And then you go into showing home on those new done. We're not in the business to show homes. We're in the business to sell homes. There's a difference, right? And a lot of times, and I know, especially when I was a new agent, you almost just want to get your buyers out there, you're great, you got to buy, you want to show them homes. And you almost don't want to have those tough conversations that maybe this home is not right for you. Have those conversations earlier so it prevents you from wasting your time and their time. And because then they'll get frustrated.
Yeah, especially when you're buying, you have a pre-approval. I mean, we already know what they were approved for.
Right.
So why, you know, am I gonna take over to look at this house? And this is even more than what, but just trying to get them to understand how that process works.
Right.
I'll try to keep away from a lot of my time.
By the way, if they have a pre-approval, let's say they have approval of $1 million. What's the range of home that you want to start showing them? In the home prices?
Wherever they feel comfortable.
I would think maybe starting at 800,000. Because the $1 million is not guaranteed. It's based, you know. Or ask what their down payment is gonna be besides the approval.
Right.
You have a better idea.
Obviously, the pre-approval is kind of like what? Right,
They're approved.
a lot of times buyers are have a number in mind that they're comfortable with too. So maybe that's 900,000. So obviously, ask the question, what is it that they want to stay with them,
Right.
right? Because I've seen agents, oh, they're pre-approved for this, that's why we're looking at this house, well, maybe they don't want to spend it.
Right, yeah.
So again, the question comes back to the buyer. Right? They may say, look, we're pre-approved for $1 million, but actually we could afford up to 1 month, all right, well then. Let's get, first of all, pre-approved for 1 month, and then let's start looking at that $1 million to $1.50 million. But so it comes back down to what is it that your buyers are looking to spend, even though they're pre-approved for that amount, doesn't mean that you should be looking at that amount.
Right.
And to your point, you should be going a little bit under.
I do have a question on that.
Yeah.
So, would you ask, let's say they were pre-approved for $1 million?
Yeah.
Would you ask them, well, if you have, let's say, $200,000 down payment. Is now your new amount like 1.2? That you would be interested in looking at, or
Oh, no, I mean, I think a pre-approval is contingent on the fact they're putting 20%, yeah. Oh, I mean, like whatever, like what
Okay.
yeah, whatever that may be, right? So if they're pre-approved, I think that's because they've already discussed with the lender that we have this amount down, that's why they're pre-approved.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, this market is getting better. So I mean, if it was 6 months or a year ago, yeah, if you're pre-approved for $1 million, you probably want to look at 800,000 because then you're gonna have to bid up to $1 million.
Mhm.
Right now, you're probably a little bit more, if it's listed for $1 million, you're probably gonna get it right around $1 million in the market. Okay, but some best practices they mentioned, have MLS. Price information, kind of like comps, mark properties on maps, answer local questions, be knowledgeable. Right, it's not about bringing value to the table, right? Point out potential issues, concerns with each home. Do you guys know, like, things to point out to buyers and what not to point out? I mean, you should not be pointing out anything, right?
Mhm.
You gotta know like some key things to be pointing out. I mean, it should be, yeah, it should be like, but-
Detail. Mark properties.
So should we-
in any home, there's 4 big, I guess, fixing things or components, right?
Like roofing,
Roof, plumbing, electrical, foundation. Those are the big ticket items. Roof, plumbing, electrical, foundation. So as you're going around the house, those are really things that you should potentially bring up or those things. Other than that, it's all small stuff. Oh, yeah, the sink looks a little worn, yeah, we'll get you sink.
Cosmetic.
Cosmetics, right? Because the big 4 ticket items are things that could make or break the deal at the end of the day,
right?
because those are big ticket items. So if you notice them right away, those are things that you probably want to point out as you're doing the review walkthrough. Just that, you know, what's happening on them. And if you point those out and it's, oh, yeah, it's not a big deal. Oh, yeah, we'll give you, we know the report. We'll just submit it all for $20,000 less or whatever.
Mhm.
So, but those things you need to point out. Okay? So, I mean, obviously, you're not just little walk and just standing there, right? You're showing them how to it up. You know, they have little kits that they're talking about what you bring. Have you guys, by the way, who's actually brought buyers out to like do?
I did join.
I did.
Mhm.
How is it?
I did them as an agent assistant, so her protocol was to have like MLS printout for them, or the property, and like, obviously. Most of the areas I always did them in, I was familiar with, because she's an Orange County agent, I grew up in Orange County, so
Okay.
I was pretty knowledgeable everywhere. But yeah, I mean, they went well, I mean, mostly, you just kind of let them do their thing, they wanna walk through the house, they wanna, yeah. They may ask questions about, like you said, a couple of the cosmetic things that they point out, that's about it, I mean, I didn't really find them difficult, you know. Yeah.
If they're going to multiple homes, I'd imagine doing showing, probably doing like 4
Oh,
or 5.
yeah,
to
like
50
a
homes.
few in a day.
What I've also done in the past is I printed out like the ML sheets. And I've given them a pen and clipboard, because by the end of the day, they're not gonna remember the first house they saw. So you want to tell them, hey, I go around, just make notes about what you like or dislike about the house, and then we can talk about that as we finish. Because you're not gonna remember all these homes after 3 hours of looking at 7 homes, right? So, that's the little thing I've been for.
And also, it's cool because you pull up sometimes and they're like, we don't even wanna go in. Like, it just,
Yeah,
it's.
but then that's part of almost the pre-screen to begin with,
Yeah.
right? You want to show them, hey, like, we're looking at this one because that's why the issue.
Mhm.
They might say no off the bat or.
Instead of wasting your time.
I don't think so for, before we go on showings. Is it best to contact the listing agent, because even though it says active on the MLS. It could be pending, it could be, because it happened to me with my buyer, so we were looking at houses and she fell in love with one of the houses and she said, put an offer on this house. And I said, okay, so I called the listing agent and he said, oh, sorry, it's pending, but it doesn't say in the MLS. That's not the.
I was just gonna ask.
What did you?
I talked to him and scheduled and he said, yeah, go ahead, full board. He never mentioned that it's pending. Which, you know, was like, when I talked He said, oh, it's pending, we're about to close. I was like, well. you can take that. Like,
Absolutely, you got to find out what's going on, have they received the offers, and now when.
that's a little more questions.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah, you should have said, oh, just let you know it's pending, you know?
But, I know that, sorry, so. But I mean, like, you also don't wanna, again, another balance, right? Because you don't also want to spend 20 minutes trying to think as much as make them become,
Oh, yeah.
listen that.
Yeah.
Your buyer doesn't like it at the end of the day either.
Yeah.
Just find out, hey, have you got offers? Okay, great. What's going on with it? Still active? Have an offer? Okay, great.
Yeah.
General. You know, cool kids. I always try to bring water, obviously, because you don't take a long day, all that kind of stuff. They have kids, I bring like little snacks.
Yeah,
Kids.
waters.
Yeah, like little fruit roll up, that kind of stuff. For kids. That helps. Safety first. COVID protocols, for the most part, I kind of loosened up.
Yeah.
But when it was COVID, obviously, you have to keep it up, but I think a lot of time, you have to respect the listing agent and the homeowner's requirements too, right? Because you don't know what kind of situation they're in, but they have requirements, make sure you do adhere to them. By the way, right, our job is to smell home, not show home. We talked about that already, about why. Reason buyers hesitate. They are afraid to commit. They don't like some minor detail of the home. They feel they haven't seen enough home. They need to sleep on it and get back to the opinion of the trusted advisor, which should be you. How do you, number 3. They haven't seen enough home. How do you guys respond to that?
Just ask them, do you want, would you like to see more? How many homes would you like to see before you're comfortable with making a decision?
How would you point out before I make a decision?
Okay, you plan with me, right? No. Say
So what would you say?
This means that you're not actually hitting the mark on the home
Yeah.
that you're
Wow.
trying.
Ding, ding, ding.
So it's kind of sounds like you need another buyer consultation, or you need to be asking more direct questions. What have you liked about the homes that you've seen? What have you not liked? Are we missing a point? Is it a layout thing that you're not feeling in the houses that we've shown? Is there, so there's obviously something that they're not connecting with, and you need to get to a part of that, so you can be more targeted.
Why do you want to see 20
There
homes?
we go. Like,
You-
why
I want to know.
do you guys
Why
need to
do
see
you-
20 homes?
Yeah.
What have you not seen in the ones we've already shown that you will see in the next 20?
Right? So you gotta get it, right? Problem one, and it's not about telling that they can. It's about asking them why.
Yeah,
And then they almost have to answer it themselves,
right.
right? Because if they give you the why, because, oh, I just want to see 20 homes, well,
Yeah.
really? That, I mean, do you want
You get the contract in Europe, that's good.
I think that helps you too, because then you can narrow down the search even more, like, okay, now they're really talking about a bigger backyard. Instead of before, they're talking about just a backyard,
Right.
you know, so now you're looking for that, instead of just a standard,
so I learned this in recruitment, when I was in executive recruitment. And, when you look at the client, some clients just want to contact with the candidate before they make a decision, just because they want to be able to say, I contacted with the candidate. And to a certain extent, I understand, right? So sometimes we would throw a candidate out there that we knew wouldn't get the job, but was a good candidate, just so that they can say they spoke with somebody. And then sometimes here, you don't have to, I'm not showing you 20 homes, but you might have to throw 1 or 2 out there. Make your clients feel like they've gotten at least some feel of what's happening. Just so that fulfills that. Now, I'm not saying go from a home that's completely, yeah,
In the
right, I'm not, you know, run that home, but show them that maybe it's not right, and make them understand, hey, you know what? This is, at this point, this is what it's gonna be, so it gives them a better feel of this, and so that's kind of what we have to do and play around with sometimes.
Perspective too.
Yeah, right. So I get it to some extent why they want people at home, but I'm not gonna show you 20, 30, 40. What else is there? What about this one? They need to sleep on it or get opinions by the other trusted advisors?
Their parents, their dad.
Yeah, I work with a lot of first time homeowners, so a lot of times they want to go back and talk to.
Yeah.
So. How do we respond to that? Is it, you tell them no, don't document it, or? No, you know,
That's what you can do.
no,
Sure, encourage and also like if they have any questions for me.
right?
So I say, should you say, okay, well, when can we do it?
But they usually want to see it if they, have an interest, and they'll usually come to parents with back again.
I think, well, yes, so that was well, then you gotta push, right? You gotta push, hey, look, it's good home. Talk to your parents, people let me know tomorrow, what they think, if you want to do this, look here. Because someone else can put a bid on it.
It's one of these.
But it's just creating a sense of urgency, creating a sense of timing and all that stuff, right?
Although that might not work, I just thought, if you saw them the other day, it was on the market for 284 days.
I had a client, this happened 2 weeks ago. It was on the market for 280 something days. They just did a price drop on it. So my client went and saw it and wanted to put an offer on it. I'm like, oh, 280 something days. You got 3 offers on it. Because they did a price drop on it. It was on the market for 280 something days. And so yeah, I get what you're saying, but sometimes you still got to create that urgency with that. Okay. Right. Because the market is turning. It is getting a bit better now. Right, there's a lot more activity now than it was in Q4 last year. Always highlighting about going back to motivations, needs versus wants. You guys understand the difference between those two, right? What you want, what your needs are, big thing to highlight by. Allay the fear, solve the challenges, calculate the cost of waiting. Right, guide to facilitate decisions. If your buyers are kind of right on the edge of making an offer, but they are hesitating to pull the trigger, always go back to motivation. At the end of the day, if they find a house that they like and can't pull the trigger, why? Right? What is it? What's not causing you to say yes? Is it just fear? If it's just fear, then hopefully motivation is bigger than your fear, and that's what you got to go back and get it. But always come back down to motivation. If someone's not pulling the trigger in the office, then they're not. But that's the key thing. And then that helps you decide, hey, how do I balance my time? Because you have your A clients, you have your B clients, you have your C clients, right? You should be allocating your time accordingly. Aha, so that was buyers. Any general aha?
A lot of good stuff,
Huh?
a lot of good stuff in general.
Oh. Good, I hope so.
Can I ask a personal question?
Yeah.
A personal question?
A personal question?
Okay, so if you have a house for $1,200,000, how much would you bring it down to $100?
You mean negotiation?
Yes.
All depends, right? Because is it on the market like just a weekend?
No, let's say it's been in the market for more than 200 days. And the buyer comes in, they love the house, it's $1,200,000. They love the house and they weren't gonna know. And let's say they are approved for $900,000. How much would you bring it down?
Are you saying you want to negotiate it down?
you bring it down to you bring it down to eight.
So, me personally,
Uh-huh.
I'm not scared about going to law.
Yeah,
If it makes sense.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's what they decided. I'm negotiating my own law,
Mhm.
right? That being said, I mean, is the house worth $1.2 million? Is it worth $1 million? What is, I don't know what the comps are in that space, right?
That, the comps are actually, around 700.
Oh, then-
It's over, I feel like it's over.
Yeah.
I think that everything's upgraded. Because everything is upgraded, they give them the feel like we want. It doesn't have a pool, it is, they did do a lot of work on it, so, you know, but the comps, I checked the comps and everything around there. It's 700,000, there are 2-3 more houses around that area with the same price, 1,200,000. And I've noticed that, also there's other houses that have been sold for over $1 million.
Okay, so there's comps support that.
Yes.
Okay.
They're in.
So the comps support that, and you know, you can get aggressive,
Mhm.
and like I said, I don't the comp of it, yeah, if the comps were, let's say, $1 million.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's been on the market for like, you know,
more than 200, they
I'm putting it under.
go there.
If the comp support, then, you know, I can go on, do it, it was mine for a year now.
Yeah.
I don't think we're doing it, we should price that in 30, if they don't want to.
Yeah.
I do that, not mine.
I was gonna say, would you call the listing agent and say, look, would you tell them in advance?
Well, I would say that, I'm pro,
That's what I mean, yeah.
how motivated are yourself, you've been on market for a year now, why? Well, you know, once you know the market, like, obvious, what are two, I mean, what's the biggest reason why a house moves up?
Right.
Like the price. What is the house moves up? Right? You said, why not?
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
My father would say, if they're really interested, but you gotta nowhere near
Yeah.
real estate.
Mhm.
Right? The consequence of 9%, what are we giving them? You might tell you no. Right? Then you come to the 9%. Yeah, but a lot of it's gonna be based on what the costs are, and realistic. Don't be afraid to throw a mobile offer, that's a mobile offer, behind me. You don't know what's coming. But obviously, within a certain realm of things, right? Within a certain realistic. Okay.
Thank you.
That was a 2 question. I thought you had-
No big rule in terms of kind of like. Drop 5, drop 10, drop 7, there's.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The one bottom, the one, two, there's a reason why, because nobody wants, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Everything's valued, that's the end of the day, everything's valued, if there's value to the property, right? I mean, so coming back to this fiduciary part, right, if you had a buyer that said, oh wow, I love this house, 1.2, but you need to go to $1 million. Would you present an offer at 1.2?
No,
Well, wait, if he did this in 280 days, it's almost a year ago, right? So this was what, back in 2021 when
Yeah.
things were popping?
Yeah, they should
So-
price that.
They still, yeah, they still were like trying to come in off that heat and they still went a little too high, probably.
yeah.
That's what happened.
So that property, I said, that kind of buyer was interested in it. It was listed with 3.2, when they first listed it a year ago,
Mhm.
so obviously it didn't sell.
Right.
Now, 284 days later, they priced out at 2.7, 2.6,
Yeah.
2.5.
Mhm.
So if they had listed at, 2.7, 2.6 before, then they might have got it.
They might have-
But because they went in hot, and now they're stuck with it. Now it was at 2.5 and it went in that for like 2.55.
Mhm.
2.6. Which,
From 3 what?
Huh?
From 3 where they
or
started.
3.2.
So. Say that already 3.2, they dropped 2.7, would you ever say to someone, okay, I know it's 3.2, but the market has changed, you actually only paid 100K. To get as much you can while you can, and just knock it down, would you ever say that to one of your clients?
You mean the sellers? Or the sellers? I mean, you have to know, listen, and I think it's the nigger, you have to consult. You market it, it's not becoming in price time. Market change. And you know, they should have been fighting on it 3 or 4 times so they get that. Now it's a matter of, hey, like, the money's still changing. Gotta readjust.
We have one in our neighborhood and the agent just will not come down the price. And they, an a-hole. I mean, you know, you can't use the master, he uses the word master, he's not, he's just not. I would never buy this.
Yeah.
His language, he swears.
Well, yeah. Huh? Is it?
In front of clients.
Oh, for the clients?
Someone's, genders, you can't do that. From him and give it to us. But who the seller is.
Well, that's why we got to do it, like, you guys come in, hopefully that'll weed out. Yeah.
I'll come back. Sure.
Yeah.
And just waiting on the bids back here.
How did you guys take like lunch break? Or did we get-
No. Like, then they need to do it somewhere.
You didn't tell me. I'm sure you're right.
That's it, look.
So, let's take a 10 minutes, let's get back,
Okay.
12:20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, walnuts. I love walnuts, man.
Walnuts, I have a lady. I have to show them that they all.
Okay.
So I can bring you
So
some.
I can use my, you like to have. Right. And then it's so good. Yeah, it's had a little more fresh.
Okay, I'll bring you some tomorrow.
Okay.
No, this is actually another house that came to market the other day, it was looking for another person that actually came on the market. 2 days before. Yeah. You know what else? House bar or situation for an album,
Yeah.
so the next one is. Okay.
I went to the car.
I was a car.
I went to the car.
Okay, yeah, no, this is.
Then when they told my husband that he would never amount to, he was gonna be a mechanic.
No, or the culture.
Yeah,
And that-
three of them. He wanted to.
Yeah, well, when I started the car,
Well,
when I walked in the door, I didn't. Leave my clothes.
that advice to, you know, Lori, you can't listen to them. He's there being listened to them.
They wouldn't let me, she wouldn't let me sit up for our college prep course. Because she's got. No, it's just.
Yeah, but I'm working basically on the 223rd side of the street. Which is one street, west or east of. So that's where we are.
You should command all the drips, instead of doing it so much manually, and then you can spend more time with the family. So why do I do the farmers?
Now I want to see,
Oh, okay.
when I have a street,
Okay.
Oh, this is so funny, I said,
Why?
there was a couple people that came in. One of them, me too. This is literally. Wow. The only way to relate like this, so that the other bathroom is like, right, when they move.
To be honest with you, go, it's like, I don't care. Yeah.
But then the garage that we did in 2020 is like.
Yeah, my favorite machine on it, yeah.
They closed it, they.
Yeah, my favorite.
Oh, I did go read.
Close the whole thing and we can go on.
The street.
To Joel.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Bernice, do you happen to have any time on?
That's right. Entrance, step up, step up. He said that was it. I do.
You can do it before too, right?
What I do is,
This guy.
Oh, no, you should.
yeah.
Our house.
And what I do is I'll create it once
Three,
and
four.
the document from. What kind of phone is that? No, it's, your phone is an Alexandra. So if there's a note feature, I copy and paste it into the note. And then I just, anytime I'm doing it, I just copy. Paste so that I'm not having to remember. If I put something on Facebook or Instagram. Like, even though I have much text.
Yeah.
I copy and paste it into my note. Yeah. And then I just go ahead and copy and paste it into what I'm doing. I don't try and remember how to do it. I don't want to modify it.
What do you usually go, what do you go to,
Wherever you're studying. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I was getting, if you're in a Word doc.
After being in China for 10 years, what was the motivation to come back, especially since you had already started a family?
Option.
okay, let's see if I can.
Yeah, so we had our first born in March, and then we got in July. That's good though, because it was 110 out there, but that was it was a great time to be on that.
I went to Beijing and Shanghai.
You did? What?
Something right before COVID,
Oh, wow.
2019.
Yeah, I like it.
I had a great time. I had a good time. Yeah, but we were met every day. And like I said, right before COVID, yeah. A lot of pollution.
Yeah, a lot of pollution. More for the pollution than anything else. It's already gotten a lot better.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In the past couple of years. I mean, nobody driving because COVID and everything. too.
Right, right.
Here, COVID really helped. Yeah, well, maybe they're not, they're not, just the general factory to shut down. I'll catch you out there.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you advertise yourself? I mean, do you advertise your linguistic skills to kind of
I don't know.
grab that?
Thank you.
We got this.
No,
You got it.
no.
Nothing new.
I probably could, but I don't. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to, I just have an Asian, so if there isn't.
No.
How many
There's the folks that in the market, I mean, pretty good.
Fight or not, and everything, but and obviously talking to the English, and I find that having a good time, then I don't find
Like I said, I was thinking more about foreign investors.
Well, I have dealt with foreign investors before, and it's very fun to do. Well, right, don't get me wrong, I think also there and take the I'm
Let's,
feel like I said earlier, like I've been trying to preach it, that you guys, and I, there's so much more to do in the paper, and you can't respect that, and I'll do it. You want to work with people that are, I want to work with.
It's just that when I used to work at Saddleback Hospital, there were a couple of Chinese docs that really push their linguistic skills. And, I mean, you know, they had clients that came over here to the United States. I mean, those are the things.
Oh, yeah, they run a lot of that, and they're really good. Yeah, I don't know, I haven't had very positive experiences, like, that's just me personally, you know. But I know, yeah, people have done big businesses, you know, working with these type of, you know, all right. Shall we get started? So we got a lot with fires this morning, which is great because quite honestly, 70% of my business is falling fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 70% of my business falling fire.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully it'll turn into something. But a lot of my business is still fire. Sellers, you know, this one go. Don't get me wrong, list can go low, and if you have a list, and that's what you want to go for, but.
Right.
I mean, why order stuff.
they always push us like they say, you know, doing this. Fire.
It is.
Right, that's a standard protocol, like, obviously, whatever,
I mean,
close the transaction.
I mean, I'm only in business myself, I mean, it's not, I told you guys,
5 years.
4 years. I mean,
Oh,
I started at the end of 2018, but 2019, realistically, you know, that 4 years, so a lot of my business is still doing the fire. When I farmed, my first listing came a year and a half later. But that doesn't mean I didn't get other business from doorknob. And that's why I 100% believe it's just about putting out the word and the energy and activity out there, and things will come at you.
okay.
I'll give you guys a prime example. I love sharing your story because it shows you what could happen. Door knocking. I came across a house that looked like it was being renovated. Knocked on the door. I said, "Hey, look, are you looking to sell?" She said, "Yes, I am."
Sure.
No, this is not- And she goes, "But the realtor."
Oh.
It's her family, it's her cousin, but he's in San Diego. This is in West Orange. So I said, "Oh, it's in San Diego. How's he gonna be able to help you with marketing and that kind of stuff?" And this family, so she had. I eventually called up the listing agent and said, "Hey, you're in San Diego. Why don't you let me do the open houses for you?" He said, "Okay." After like the third week on the market, I did his open house for him. That open house weekend I did was great. About to lock up, and this couple comes in at the very end
I
saying,
love that.
"Hey, you know, can I do this? I'm gonna have a look." I said, "Absolutely, have a look." They said, "Oh, it's not the right house." I'm like, "Oh, no, but we have another house." I'm like, "Oh, Okay, actually, we looked at it already, and we want to put an offer on, it. Can you help us? Okay.
Wow.
Well, let me think about that. real quick. Not only that, they bought 4 of the homes from me.
Oh,
I love that.
Because of door knocking in a house that I didn't get the listing for,
Mhm.
but I was willing to go to the open house.
That was above and
But you
beyond
took
though.
that extra step to contact me.
Above and
To
beyond.
contact them, right?
You
So that's
contacted
just
them.
one of many stories where a door knocked at home,
Mhm.
didn't get anything out of it, but something else came.
Yeah.
I'll share one more story. Door knocked at home 5, 6, 7, 8 times, met the people there, they've been there forever. They're one of the ones that, you know, what, orange home, 40, 50 years. been there
Baby
forever.
boomers.
Yeah, house about to fall over, that kind of thing. They called me, no, so that's, you know, I've spoken many times, this has never happened. Had a buyer, met the buyer, and I also met the parents door knock. Parents said, "Oh, we're never selling, my son is gonna come and buy a house, can you help him?"
Mhm.
I said, "Sure." Met them, did the whole buyer consultation, sat down, he goes, "Oh, look, what I'm looking for is a house that I can tear down and build up myself."
And you're like,
And I was like, fine, okay, we'll look it up, but there's not a lot of them, they come up from time to time. Doesn't happen all the time. I buy the consultation, watch, that was great, like, we'll start looking. Literally 2 days later, that one house that I've done that many, many times, they called and said, "Hey, look, we're about to sell."
Mhm.
They actually asked me if I wanted to buy. Long story short, I actually was looking to buy homes in the area myself. I said, "No, I'm not looking to buy anymore." And then, but I was like, trying to remember the address, I looked it up, and it was a tear down. And she said, "Yeah, we're looking to sell now, I'm not looking, they said, actually, we have an agent, I was just thinking you wanted to talk to you directly." I said, "No, but I have a buyer." And workshop the buyer ended up buying that house. And it was perfect, because it was a tear down home, ready to go. So, I mean, things happen, just as we go out there and make,
Yeah.
get that activity. A lot of stuff, like, I've done my listing for my farm, but I've done so much more activity just around that door knocking. So,
the last trainer we had, Michelle Brown,
Michelle, Brown, yeah.
she kept repeating this over and over, the money goes where the energy flows, and you're like, that's a prime example of that, like. You just
So many, and there's just so many things that just happened, I can't tell you enough. I'll show you one last story.
yeah.
Because this just happened last quarter, and I was super bummed. I was working with a client, helped them buy a house in Torrance, they owned a condo. So they got into the house, great, now they go, "Oh, let's sell the condo, can you help me sell the condo?" And of course, I'm gonna sell the condo. Let's do it, we put it on the market, we got remember November, December, super slow. Tough market because the interest rate's so high, we got an offer in. Offer went, the person had a dog. With a German Shepherd. And we didn't get the HOA docs until the very end, I said, "You can't have a German Shepherd in the condo."
Oh, wow.
So we fell out at restaurant on day 28,
Oh, wow.
super stuff. Not only that, the seller come back and say, "Hey, we changed our mind. We don't want to sell anymore."
You're gonna rent.
So they canceled the listing. Another thing to note. So because I helped them buy a property, when we negotiated the listing, I said, "Fine, I'll help you with the staging, I pay for staging."
Mhm.
They canceled listing, so I lost like $4,000 on the stage.
Wow.
So, what a note to you, this is my own lesson. Always in your listing agreements, if you are gonna pay for something, in the event of a cancellation, there has to be. So always put in your listing agreement. Okay? So they canceled. Listing was canceled, all done. I got a call like 3 or 4 weeks later from another agent saying, "Hey, what happened to your listing?" I said, "Oh, it's canceled, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Why?" She goes, "Oh, I have a listing coming up in the air, I'm just trying to get the market info." I said, "Oh, what are you selling?" "Oh, this is what I'm selling, blah, blah, blah. It needs a lot of work. I'm an investment too, so I do a lot of flips." "Oh, why don't you sell it to me?" So I ended up picking up a flip off market. From a listing that canceled, I lost $5,000 on it. Now hopefully I can make some money with this flip.
I was just gonna ask if you do wholesale too, that's what I was like, do you do wholesale as well?
I don't post them, I'll pick both of you.
Yeah,
But, so that's what I always think, there's something that will always come from we just didn't have to do anything.
Mhm.
But, everything was worked out, everything happened for a reason. Okay. So, sellers. What do we do about sellers? What do sellers want from us? So 27% is other. What's 21%? 21% is help price, home, competitive, right?
Yes, get the right price.
With the right price, we're doing our comp, we're doing our market strategy and all that kind of stuff. Help sellers market home to potential buyers, obviously the first two are price right and market. What we do. Like we get paid today, sell the home within a specific time frame, help seller find ways to fix a home to sell for more. Are you guys aware of that? That we have that service actually where we can provide to the seller. Where all the upfront cost of the renovation is actually carried, put up by KW, well, not KW specifically, but
Concierge service.
concierge service.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so basically, if a home is being fixed up, let's say it's $50,000, the concierge service will actually do all that, front the money, and then when the home sells, gets paid on the back end. Right? Why is that a positive for us? Scenarios?
It's more care provided.
One is the service that we provide,
Yeah.
Increases the value of the property and the curb appeal.
exactly, right? I
So
mean,
they could sell for more and, yeah.
right, it's also more, it's more appealing, it's more attractive down to the remodel home versus the, place that needs work, right? So that is the service that KW has, KW Concierge basically, that you can provide there, if the client, wants to do that. Right? There's no upfront cost to them, upfront cost to them, because everything's taken on the back end. Right?
Yeah.
So KW Concierge, they have a contract that says if you don't issue a. We don't,
So, yeah, you're not,
we're not, we're staying,
but
okay.
you guys are individual agents.
Yeah.
Some of the others, and at 27%, they're saying like help find a buyer, negotiation, paperwork, all that fun stuff.
Well, one question about like, obviously you said staging, so with the agent that I worked with this past year, she did her own staging, she had her own, like, she housed it and everything, like, for her listing. But, so she would provide that as an added, for all her clients, but obviously you're contracting that out, right? We said 4,000, but like, let's say we could, we're new, we don't have that, type of capital to start in the beginning, right? So like, for example, if we go into a property that needs full staging versus maybe a property that, I could probably go to TJ Maxx and grab some things and like, doctors and things, that's what I do. How does that go into the contract? Like, well, how would you even recommend going about that? Like, if we're just gonna take it on ourselves?
Oh, you want to do it yourself?
Mhm.
I mean, what are you doing? Like you buy the roll, like it's not 30 to just.
Yes, things that show well, like in pictures, plans.
You can put that down as, you're providing value from that. I don't know how you would. Are you thinking about how you get reimbursed on that?
No, I'm saying like, that's not a reimbursement thing, it's the value fee, right? Okay, cool.
That's the value part of your selling, you have them listening. Hey, look, here's what we can do. In terms of, I can see more sense in being here, I can help you with that, and that'd be part of that when we table.
Yeah, like also like, organization, cleaning, stuff like that.
Decluttering, all that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
yeah. The professional services that do that already, but obviously if you want to take on that responsibility, that could be more value added as well.
Okay.
I've heard of agents charging extra percentages for doing that.
That's what I was just curious, like, 'cause, and obviously I know what requires more work and what requires like very minimal, so is that something that they actually put in the contract, like, that seems,
I mean, I don't know how you want to do that.
I know.
You would want more of it, not giving them a favor or something about
Agreed.
helping with this, right? The staging FYI should be 80-90% of the time, the seller's responsibility.
Okay.
And that needs to be clear upfront. But again, I'm doing this, the only cost that you're covering, obviously my commission and escrow fees, auto fees, and you guys on the stage, Absolutely don't need other additional. That's what I thought.
So say that one more time, the last part. So when you do staging, you let them know that.
That's part of, yes,
That's.
no,
their-
no, part of their responsibility. Solid responsibility would be staging. I recommend the staging, I can actually be on the resources for it, but the cost of it is gonna be very high to solve.
Okay.
And then again, that's part of the negotiation too, right? You want to negotiate that, then you take out, I take out, that's up to how you guys discuss with the seller. Seller needs, price, time frame, conveyances. Seller right changes, little changes. I mean, key things, seller going to. I mean, who's gone on a listing presentation by the way? You have obviously. Anybody else on a listing presentation? Have you guys looked in command template for the listings presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys put something together that works for you guys yet?
No.
Not yet? Okay. Good. Good. Fire consultation, listing presentation, have that ready. So that, and practice. So that when you have an actual listing presentation. You're ready to go. You're ready to go.
So my mentor Sue told me to do my own house,
You might well.
do my own house. practice.
Oh, practice.
That's what she said, you just keep practice on your own house, do the listing presentation, do the yeah, do it all on your own house. This way, when you or something, then you have that experience on your own to bring to the table too. Yeah, she kept drilling that into it. Just do your own house, do your mom's house, do your in-laws house. And then just present it to them.
Like practice.
It's just a practice, yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys do role plays in there? Okay. I think we should. Yeah. I think we should. Because I'm trying to see like if this stuff is. Or like change, you know, that color control, price condition, you know. In terms of from a selling standpoint, price is kind of the big factor, right? The price. Okay.
This was the marketing time.
Sensitive color conversation. What are some issues that could come up? So you go on the presentation, you know, obviously price is a big discussion around that. Aside from price, what are some other things that you guys potentially could be talking about? Color on what?
That's very sensitive for so many people.
Yeah. How do you-
Compliment.
You think that's dope?
No, if it's a mixer, I mean, there's ways to say it like,
Yeah.
you know.
This kitchen is beautiful. We just need to tidy it up for our, you know,
Yeah.
visitors, our guests.
Yeah.
Our buyers, potential buyers.
Right.
Let's clean this up.
But your honest liability. It's small.
Well, most people move their stuff into the garage, like for the pictures, they're like, let's shove it all in the garage, you know?
So you gotta find somewhere that, if that's the best option, that's better than leave it in the living room, I guess.
Yeah.
So. Definitely a lot of the sensitivity is probably centered around just decluttering and cleaning the property and, right?
Dirty carpet,
Yeah,
smelly carpet.
smell. Let's be honest, you know, you're living in a house for 10, 15, 20 years, you're not gonna notice any smell, so that's. To some extent, right? I mean, I'm a pretty dry person, so I just. Right, say it, and I don't know how you guys are feeling from it to some regard, so. But it has to be said one way or another. Right, and your own way, your own way.
Part of setting the expectation. Yeah. I mean, that's what you said you gotta do right from the get, set the expectation.
When, so I mean, part of, yeah, so when I set expectation, I'm almost saying in that regard, that my job here is to help you start your home for the best price I can, so I'm gonna have to say things that are maybe. Right, difficult to say, but you need to understand that. It's all the nation to tell your house at the best price you can, which I think we're on the same boat to do.
Yeah.
Right, so, you guys gotta be ready and be able to say these things, because if not, you're just gonna hear this up for failure. Like, oh, damn, that agent didn't tell me. Why didn't my agent tell me that we needed to clean this code?
But you know what, part of something, and I haven't found a way around it, you know, played with things, but. You know, when you're doing your comps and you see one house has, I don't know. Like, I don't know, the same, I can't remember, I think Ryan was showing me a house where it had all the same stuff from the 70s.
Right.
And you see another house pretty much just like it, but you know, it's got a roof and it's got a roof range and it's got what's the
It's updated.
just updated crap. But I'm not, I mean, you know, I kind of know. I know that, you know, column B is gonna have more shit in it than column A. Yeah, that's gonna raise the price, but I'm not sure how you would actually gauge that, you know, how much is one more bedroom than, you know.
I think that's gonna be where your experience and market knowledge is gonna come in. The more you look at properties, the more you see things, the more you get a sense of where these things are gonna be. Because to say that, oh, a work brand would give you 10% more, there's no direct correlation.
Yeah.
I know that's a tough fit because, especially for me as an engineer, I want things very clear cut.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of subjectiveness to what we do too. So there's always an art and science of it, right? That's what we look at. You know, the art, the science is looking at the comps and everything, but the art is your gut feeling and saying, look, I think this house needs to be priced at this point. Because of what's the market happening, what's going on, or what's unique about this property. So that, I don't know if that answers your question specifically, but that does take, hopefully helps you understand, you gotta do all your comps still. I think they, from experience and just looking at home, comes to home as a home. I think that's the first bit for a lot of new agents, is that you should know your market. Like the back of the end, you know, before you start selling your market, before you start selling anything, you need to know your product. And so I see agents going out there all the time trying to sell things, like, what do you know, they have research that, know your market, so that if anything, that's what you know. Right, that you can do. You can go to every single open house. You can go to MLS and look at what's sold. You can do all that. Because you may not be able to say I've had 15 transactions. But if you get in front of a client and can present with confidence that you know your, you know, shit on my bench, that'll come through. Like, that'll come through. And that will give them confidence that you know what you're talking about, even though you are having them transaction. So then we have to start somewhere. So know your market. I mean, that's hopefully answers your question here. So this is kind of similar to what we thought earlier, right? So, you know, providing relationships, setting, managing expectations, creating peace of mind for your client, enhancing the credibility. I mean, that's almost kind of what we've been talking about all day, right? Just being able, how you work with your client and being able to build relationships, create value, and let's create trust and credibility. Right. Oh. Does everybody know? If not specifically and verbatim, at least some idea of all the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Anything happens, I'll be just, I mean, you know, I've had clients say, like, I want to sell to families, right? Obviously, you can't just sell it to a family,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I have a quick question on that. And hopefully you just share with everyone.
Yeah.
I did get a love letter from a family and they sent their pictures.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
I didn't show it to my client, but I did get that. So when you do get that, what do you do? Like,
You know, it's interesting because this has only been very recent that they've changed all that.
Right.
I mean, last year, every offer had a love letter with it.
Oh.
Last year, meaning like 2020, sorry.
2020.
Right? And a lot of times, you know, if the buyer, or sorry, seller wanted it, we would Sure. This was, but recently, obviously, one of the rule changes. I don't know if it's official, you cannot give them. Or if you do give it to them, then you have to obviously disclose, hey, look, it's not supposed to influence your decision, which is kind of weird because it.
Actually, that buyer drove by at night, met the seller, had a conversation with them.
Wow.
And then the buyer's agent called me and said, and I said, if you did not see the comments, do not go direct.
Wow,
And,
okay, yeah.
But I was like, it's okay, I'm okay with it. If he was okay with it, I did discuss it with him. So ultimately, you know, like,
I think, yeah, at the end of the day here, we have to say what we're liable for and what we're not, and look, if we are to show that this is not supposed to influence your decision on if you're selling to a family or not a family or whatever couple whatever it may be. But yeah, you don't want to tell the buyer right off the bat, if your seller's, I don't know, I'm not getting it, to say, look, we can't, you know, just don't do it,
Mhm.
right? That's probably how things are trending,
Mhm.
that they haven't already trended that way. In terms of just no love letters, no buyer introduction letter. But, you know, like I said, in 2021, every law had one of these things, right? Because you were trying to get a leg up on your offer, that's the only way to distinguish it.
That's what they do.
Yeah. But you know, for the most part, obviously, if there are any weird requests by a seller, we can't have it. We're not supposed to, obviously fulfill their wish, but that we can't from legal standpoint. Talks about, you know, no commissions with your reputation.
No.
Have you guys seen it before?
Yes.
So I actually put this in my listing presentation, but then I only highlight a couple things that, you know, are what's mentioned to me. So that might be a good idea for you guys as well, if you guys want to have it. Obviously, you know, it's pretty long-winded when you go to every single one of them. So you want to just highlight the one that probably stand out to you the most.
Does it vary for you what might stand up to out depending on?
I mean, just in terms
What-
of maybe what resonates with you,
Right.
right? Because everybody's different. I mean, I'm sure these are all obviously very things that we should have and be able to value. But certain things, some people value certain things more.
You may pick out one or two.
Yeah, I picked out one or two of them.
Okay, so if you got a seller,
Yeah. So when I talk to a seller, I would say, hey, look, you know, as part of KW, we have, you know, a mantra or code that we try to follow. A lot of it has to do with the values of how we operate and how we carry it into our service.
communication.
And here they are.
Very important. Mhm.
But you know, something that to me is, you know, hoping we have open communication, and that to me is very important. If we don't have the communication, we cannot work together. It just doesn't work, right? So whether it be good and bad, things that need to be said, we have to communicate. If we can communicate that, then we have an understanding. My job is to help you understand your motivation, your needs, and provide advice and consultation to help you sell or buy your house, you know, to the best of our ability. And if we can do that, then we can build trust. And to me, it's very important that we trust each other, because if we don't trust each other,
We got a problem.
we can't work together. Because if I say something to you and you don't trust me, then what's the point of me saying something? Stupid, it's wasting my time, your time, right? So, but if we trust each other, then we can have good success. And so if we communicate, build the trust, build the relationship, we'll get to where we need to get to.
Okay.
I believe in that. So that's kind of my little pitch right in the very beginning. What is that phrase? Step
Step marketing
marketing
plan.
plan for listing. Step marketing plan for listing, yeah. Listings, how we use listings to brand ourselves. Obviously, how we leverage the brand and to get leads. So you guys already talked, what are some ways? I'm sure you guys already kind of got through some of this as well. What are some ways to use listings to generate leads?
Open house.
Throw them out there,
Yeah.
huh?
Door knocking, open
Door knocking.
cold calling.
Phone call.
So I,
That's all right, right, just do it influence. What do you guys, what are something that, if you guys haven't had a listing yet, that you guys would do as part of the marketing,
Social media.
social media,
Door knock.
you want to door knock, right? Door knock, put it homes around the area, neighbors will love to talk. You'll find out very quickly, like, oh, what's selling for, what's going on in the house, right? So, you want to door knock there, you want to fly there, do you guys do mail? I do, so you ask me, what is, I do mail? If I'm doing a listing, I do mail. So, you guys ever use EDDM? I've used direct mail, that's through USPS.
Well,
Oh,
that's what we have done. Way cheaper than actual direct mail.
It's pretty simple and hard at the same time. Once you get it, it's easy.
The ones where you take them their flyers directly.
Yeah,
right?
drop off the files, they mail it out, we can actually keep the route that they go through as well. So once you have the route, I think,
Simon showed.
Natalie has the little. The postage stamp thing that you can use to get a discount, because we're a business. So you have to have that on the flyer,
Oh, you know that.
right? So, yeah, probably received it, like, we get mailed in the mail.
Yeah.
The middle top right corner, kind of business, use ordinance, blah, 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 blah. So you need to have that on the flyer when you get the discount rate. That, I do that when I do this.
What we didn't know, though, I think was, the question we didn't have answered was, do we have to like pre-sort them like based on the zone? Because you take up for this whole.
No, once you have the route set, then let's say your route is like 500 homes, if you do one, you break it down into like half of 100, but that's it.
Okay,
And then like you have to print it out and just put the first print out on each
with
100,
what, okay.
on each 100. And then you bring it all in and then. No. Alright, I'm sure once you get a listing, I'm sure your mentor.
Somebody will
will-
help us.
Yeah, or somebody will help you guys, obviously, feel free to reach out as well. But mailers for sure, you do listings. The message you put out to attract prospective buyers and sellers of everything, why would they want to contact you in this market? Why would they, what would they get if they did? These two questions are at the heart of all effective messaging. The shift.
Find is the biggest thing that makes you stand out when customers are asking you questions about what are you gonna do for them from a marketing perspective?
The biggest thing
Yeah,
for
Like what makes-
listings or for
Listings.
general marketing,
listings,
for listing.
yeah.
So marketing to me is two things, right? Marketing to me is exposure and engagement. Right, those are two big things, right? That's it, you want to expose, and once you expose, you want them to engage and hopefully come to it. So number one is, how do we get this out to as many people as possible? So that's my first goal, right? So whether it be social media, whether it be BBM that we just talked about, or we doing that, so those are ways to get much exposure as possible. Then engagement. Engagement, what are we doing different in the marketing with the video that you're doing? Is that you're doing talking and sharing the words, the verbal communication with the local people, right? With the neighbors. So those are things that you gotta have to explore across the property, because you don't do a video for a 2-bedroom condo that looks run down,
Right.
right? You wanna do the video of the staging for the 3-bed, 2-bath home that's remodeled, that's gonna shine on it. So every property is different, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I know that the two steps going into all this is definitely exposure and engagement. So what can I do to get as much exposure as possible? And exposure means different things too, right? So if it's a fixer home. Okay, what does that mean? You want to expose it to who? Developers, flippers, right? Wholesalers. Right? So every home is different in how you approach it. But often have a go to them.
Right. Did you ever lose a seller consultation or seller client based on marketing? Like, did someone ever come back to you with the feedback that actually, I think I went with someone else because I felt they can do better marketing,
As part of your listing presentation, you should be talking about your marketing plan.
right?
So going into a solid presentation, you should have some idea of what, not specifically, but I mean, you should have some idea of what it is that you want to do.
Right,
And you should have examples, and if you don't have an example, then, you know, what did you find?
right,
Because if you haven't been looking for, like I said, it's what I've done, I get that.
right.
But then you could have, okay, well, just how the market and be clear and confident about that.
Okay.
I think.
I have a personal question.
So I'll wait for questions.
There's no big deal. So what do you currently look for?
Yeah.
I was in.
Cool.
What do we? You would secret the one I'm not gonna.
Well, this is me, I was thinking,
Yeah.
like, I'm not very dressed, right, so what they see is,
What they get,
That's
or
what I-
what to be your authentic
yeah,
you.
this is me.
I want to wear heels, but
Well, I wouldn't like look professional, but I also want to be comfortable. So let me know if you-
I can't wear shorts. Even with summer,
you would hope not.
yeah. I mean, not wearing a lot. So, this is me, but also this is me.
Do you wear pants or anything?
I don't, but that makes you probably share that, yeah. I don't have any.
No, not one.
Yeah. Can everyone?
Then we got it.
Most of it is women, I mean, it's usually some type of, I mean, jeans, or pants and a blouse, you know, either, athletic shoes or sometimes a low heel, you know, low heel. With the guys, it's kind of in jeans and a shirt. A couple of, you know, sometimes with a, with a casual jacket.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about that. I really just go with the t-shirt. But yeah, I'm really comfortable.
Yeah.
You look presentable.
Yeah.
I think that's the right word. You look presentable, you're not, yeah,
You don't look like you're just coming out of the beach or something.
exactly, right? As long as it's presentable and you have whatever you're saying is of value, then that's what they'll remember. Just don't have them remember the attitude. You want them to remember your attitude, that's not their attitude. But lie, but the only thing they can remember is how to do it.
Say it?
If the only thing they remember about you is how you do it.
Unless you're a female.
That's part of your marketing.
With an eight of my door, and she's like. See that?
Never know. You, and you drive, and you look at your door.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a picture, it's a group.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, let's see, what else we got on the solar side of things, your MLS listing reflect your brand, so get it right. Have the right documents, utilize the right professional to get great pictures. By scheduling pictures, please guys, don't take pictures with your iPhone and put it on.
What?
You know what I've seen homes that are like, you know, 7 figures, 1.5 million. You know what they did? They took a picture of the iPhone. They screenshotted that picture. And then they put that as the MLS picture.
Oh my God.
So you see a screenshot of an iPhone picture, I don't know, it's like, 1.5 million dollars, what do you do?
So how about if it's like, mine was considered a picture. I did do my own photos on my iPhone. But I cleaned up the rooms as much as possible.
I'm assuming you didn't have, how many pictures, you probably had 3, 4 pictures, or did you do?
I had like each room, I just didn't do the bedrooms because they were kind of, they're kind of living there, so I kind of like, but one of the, I did maybe 12, 15.
Oh, you did, okay,
Yeah.
I mean,
But
look,
a few outside,
I got that photography, so I would never do my own pictures, but like,
I wouldn't normally do it, but just because it
this
was,
is the picture.
I considered it a fixture, I was like, well, I want to pay.
I think they make sure, you know, it looks professional. It looks
There's not a,
professional.
there's not a
Still got
screenshot.
what, 60 people.
You're going to screenshot, take a screenshot of.
Well, it's-
I think that couple,
oh, you-
Why would you do a screenshot of the photo you took? That was a photo.
no.
That doesn't make a darn bit of sense.
And as a seller, why aren't you saying what the F? Be like,
Yeah.
I'm paying the commission to do this.
Right.
So anyway, something like that. But pictures are the first thing any buyer sees, so make sure you do have that professional done, or at least, you know, ready to present with that. Schedule the right listing, right? If you had a listing, when do you put it on the market? Does anybody ever talk about that before? First of all, you guys know when brokers open are?
Yeah, they.
It's different, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they're
Different days for different regions, but South Bay in general is Thursday. Right, Thursday, 11, 12, 1, 2, something like that. Usually 12 to 2. But, I used to hold mine 11 to 1, but so it's a little different, because I know everybody goes 12 to 2, so I hope we get a good batching from that one. But you know, I try to put on listings. You know, I'll put it coming soon first, like on Monday or whatever, and then we'll go active on Wednesday in preparation for Thursday brokers. Saturday, Sunday, obviously, yeah. Another good question. So let's say you do have a broker open on a Thursday. Would you, and the house is ready to show, your first open house is on a Saturday. What happens if people start back and come see it Friday? What would you do? What would you do?
So when I put mine on, I put coming soon, and literally day one, people want to see the schedule. And I said Wednesday from 12 to 3, Thursday from 12 to 3, Friday from 12 to 3 open house weekend.
Okay.
Schedule, I'll put it on my calendar and expect to see you there. I did not let anyone see it outside of the time, or my clients coming, because they're still living there. So I made sure that this time, okay, and that's the only time I have to show.
Another outcome in that, if you had a listing, you put it active on Wednesday, you know brokers open on Thursday. You open the house on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If people want to come see it Friday.
How do we handle that if they want to see it Friday? I mean,
Yeah.
usually you just tell me I have to wait till open house. Right?
We'll find out why they need to sit on Friday.
Well, it's gonna be on Friday, they're gonna see it.
And there's always gonna be a reason, agents are always, they're pushing little suckers, they're always like, oh, my blanket, they just know.
Yeah.
They're coming to open houses on there.
But maybe they want to see it early because they have a lot.
Want to see it earlier than 5.
Trust.
Now, so they're allowed to- They get us something.
Have a situation, if there's a client still living in it and they don't want to have any showings on Friday, well, then it's a no-brainer answer. But it also kind of depends on the strategy that you're using for selling, because if you're trying to, in Canada, we used to call it bully offers. So people that would come in and see it before an open house and put an offer in advance of the open house, they knew that they had to make it a really good offer to convince the buyer not to actually proceed with the open house, because that was always a condition of putting in the offer. If they accept it, then they accept it without proceeding with the open house. So it depends, I think, on what the strategy is that you're using, if you're holding offers until, let's say,
There's a time.
a certain time, then. Yeah, get everyone in as much as possible, because then you're essentially gonna have more build up.
Yeah.
To the offers, but
I got bullies, I got bullies. I
Like-
feel bad.
Yeah, like with Brian, like with you there, right?
I said,
Like, how many is it?
we're having no bash no matter what, my client's choice.
Yeah.
So push your offer,
Well, at least you present it, you can give an offer, it doesn't mean I'm accept it.
you know, today, like all day. 100%, no, we're gonna do it tomorrow.
I mean,
Yeah.
I keep telling them this, right, like, if I'm presenting, literally, at the end of it all, wow. So I have done it before, where someone came in and was like, oh, yeah, 200K over asking, no continues. But there's a deadline on the offer, so you have, at that point, you have to issue a responsibility to the seller, you're like, hey, look, here's what we got, here's our plan. Here's what we got. So, there has to be a very compelling reason why. right?
And like you said, the conversation with your client. Yeah. And I did have those, I did have some.
So,
But I was like, here, this is our front, but you wanna wait. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'll tell you what I'm not saying this is right, but I'll tell you what I put. If I have a listing that's put on Wednesday, broken open Thursday, open house on the weekend, I don't have anybody see it on Friday. If you know, down the listing, you want to build that momentum and build good activity, because obviously, that's that if Friday, you come on open house on the weekend, and that's gonna be more traffic, and then you know how it is, right? You want people in there. And it's like, oh my God, promo. So there's that kind of thing. So that's what I do with my listings. If I have something that I know is gonna be hot, I don't let it get too. Unless it's again, a super crazy reason, then we'll talk.
Cash offer, they're leaving to
Yeah.
a different country.
Something, all of a sudden I say, no, oh, there's a check there, please, like, make sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, to some extent, I can't say I haven't done the same. Important listed directly data from PLF. Okay, so this is more about. So this I have that. If you ever use marketing, like creating flyers on Avaya, you can import the data pretty simply. I don't know if you guys have done it on command. If you're making flyers on command, you can import your data very simply on the design page. From this window. The signage, do you guys have any signs already?
No.
No? I was asking you to sign it, but. I want to update my signs, but like if you guys have the sale signs. Name on those, and they have your open house signs.
It's Rachel, Rachel, get your sign. I got it from Build a Sign on, yeah. Go on Google and just build a sign, and yeah, I got it there, they have good deals. Okay.
That's the pretty nerd. Yeah.
They have business cards, really.
Oh, yeah. And,
You have to say size and size. You know, you can, they have different options of designs. And really.
yeah, that's what I can do. I think I did my first time there as well.
I'll build a sign, yeah, they're good. I do recommend.
So how much?
is it cheaper than the agent's?
It is.
Yeah.
It is cheaper, and then the more you buy, the more discount they give you.
Yeah.
So it is cheaper than, it's like if you were to go to the barn.
Yeah, there's when we got our websites, there's one of them. Yeah, there's something called the agents, not the.
Oh,
site.
okay, okay. Yeah, you can always go on both and just. Yeah.
So how about, I mean, there should be a checklist of things that you guys want to have ready. Sign being one of them. I don't know if Brett has given you that checklist yet or not, but just think that you should have kind of ready, different colors, obviously, that right, signs, open house signs. If you don't have open house signs, you can borrow them from the office, if you have them, so you can use that for the time being, but part of that is branding and getting your name out there too, so you want to have those signs. I mean, has anything somebody wants to point out specifically? But what I would like to do is this, I mean, there's one more section about co-agents, I mean, I'm gonna run through, this, but I would like you guys to actually break up into new role play. I mean, we're here until 2. So, but I'm gonna kind of go through this. Try, and this is something I've learned along the way, to meet as many agents as you can. Because the better relationship you have with other agents in your market. Not to say that's gonna make or break you, but it'll make your job a lot easier. Right, we're in a very relationship business, there's a lot of people that have been in this business for a very long time. You know, you wanna get to know them, right? So, a lot of this section is about is kind of working, and building that network. You know, there's people that will be more sharing with you if they know you, right? Because what goes around comes around. Alright, okay, so make sure you guys are networking, talking to other agencies. And that's why you guys are here. I mean, we have 400 agencies in this office alone, right? Boom. To achievements. You change what is nice of you. Just put into this. So kind of just recap before we jump into role play. So we looked at client success, we looked at buyer success, and we looked at seller success. That was kind of the 3 main topics that we talked about today. Seller success, I know we kind of went through that. I know a lot of this is more buyer centric because I know you guys are working with a lot of buyers. But was there any big aha or any questions or anything from those 3 things that you want to ask, share, discuss?
Well, I like the fact that you gave us, you shared your buyer list with us,
My bio list, which was
other the conversation,
Presentation.
presentation. And you're gonna give us I asked first, for the newsletter
yeah,
in your car.
yeah, I'm gonna get it, I'll show you that.
Yeah.
I can show you guys what I did in buyer's consultation. So you guys, have you guys seen one before?
I have to look at it and jog my memory.
I've seen a couple on some other websites with their, you know. They want you to buy their CR.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Let me, yeah. Let's try it. This is pretty basic one. This is one that we put together through kind of piecing together different things on the command. No, front page, So this is part of the command that goes through a lot of what we talked about earlier in terms of asking questions about the technical bits. What are you looking for in a house? On a bedroom, what are you looking for location, bedroom, right? So what I actually do on buyer's consultation is I don't even go over these pages specifically. This is the whole bit here.
You have them in there, but you don't go over them, you said?
I actually go through them there. So very similar to what was up there earlier, but just something I put together for myself. Buyer's roadmap. Because this is I thought I'm gonna go over. This is my guideline. This is a top level view of what, you know, what the process is gonna be like. And this is what I go through with them in terms of.
Is that a PowerPoint?
Hmm?
Is that a PowerPoint? Is that a PowerPoint or that command?
This chart, this is I made myself. I just made on Excel or I'll go on there.
So,
But it's very similar to that slide I had earlier, the same exact thing, just, you know, put in different font and stuff. Retail consultation, lending consultation, visiting home. I use this as my guideline in my buyer consultation, so that as I'm going through, hey, look. This is the first step, this is what we're doing now, let's talk about. What do you guys, what's going on, what are you looking for? You know that buyer's brief that I put up earlier?
Yeah.
That's everything I'm doing right here. This part here. Then after I do that buyer's brief, then we go, okay, look, this is what the rest of it looks like. Now we have to go make sure you get your pre-approval with that. Boom, boom, boom. What does that look like? Okay, then it goes into the home. This is where I say from start to finish, we'll probably look at a 3-month process. If I can't do this in 3 months, I'm not doing my job or something's wrong. Right, so I talk them through, not in detail, but at least give them a quick overview of everything. Then, after I've gone through all this, that's why I go back and say, hey. The rest of this. Will then go into a little bit more detail, and I want you to take this home and look at it, because this will go into more detail in terms of what we really talked about. Right, and that's your homework.
Like that's their homework.
Yeah, that's their homework. Right? Go back, we've talked about all this, I know what you're looking for now, but let's do a little more, if something else comes up, let me know. And we'll add it to the list, right? But this is stuff that you guys already all talked about. So that chart that I just showed, this is where it breaks down even more in detail. And this again is all incremental. Right, number 5, 6, 7, 8, that's the whole step. It'll take you hours if you want to go through every single bullet point, so I don't. I say go home and look at it, but we'll go through it. And by the way, quite honestly, you have to remember everything you do anyway. As we're going through the process, I'm here to help you along the way, and I'll bring up these points as we're going through it. But this will at least give you some idea of what you're getting yourself into. Financing, you always want to talk to them about, hey, you know, don't go buy another car. Don't open up a credit card. Things to just be aware of in terms of this process, not to do. Right. And then I think that's a good idea, obviously, make it personal, you know, put a little bit about yourself in there.
I'm just gonna ask if you put a bio
Yeah.
for buyers as well.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, hopefully. This will, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna read it when they take it home, because they're always interested. And you, like I did in the very beginning, you give a quick intro anyway when you're talking to them, right? So, and then I've also put in like, you know, testimonials, just referrals and not referrals, like feedback and reviews that people have given on you. And then recent sales that I've had in the area, right?
Okay, so if I haven't had any, can I share my team?
You know what you could do here is, no matter what, you're gonna have comp. So one thing that's not in here. Yeah, one thing that's not in here are comps.
Okay,
So if you already kind of know like what area they're looking at,
okay.
right, you wanna put in comps in there, so that'll give them some reference guide as well, comp. I have recent sales, some use term, just FYI. This is a really cool map that you guys in Torrance. Because it breaks down all the different sections in Torrance. So this for this client, they were looking in Torrance, so that I can point out, hey, look, this is this, this is this, and this is that. Right, this is what price points are here, this is what price points are here. So if you like doing Carson, you know, Carson, there's a lot of different areas, you want to break that down.
where'd you get that map?
I found this online. Yeah. So,
So you found the area broken out online, when you MLS about the
yeah,
average price of that area.
yeah. Now, I also found out that you can actually break it down on the MLS by
Area.
by that area.
Right.
On the map. You can show it just on the map, I was broken down too.
I think in the KW app, it also does it too.
Oh, there's a guy like this? Cool.
Similar to like, I know my area, that highlights the area around me, and then that shows that these cars, the road cars. So that it breaks down.
It breaks it down as that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then that's good, because then you can talk about why West Torrance has a certain price point, Old Torrance has a certain price point. And then you can break down for them like what makes sense based on their budget and their requirements, right? And that's where then your market knowledge will come into play. And then, but that's it. But you see, I mean, quite honestly, all this stuff is taken from the map, right?
Even the photos,
Huh?
not the map.
No, Just don't have to look like it. It's the-
Dog in there.
All this is just, yeah,
Stop.
stock photos from command, this whole bit. Obviously not those, but yeah, all this stuff is just from command. So I'm looking like this document on command, it's something like 40 pages long.
I bought a few of them, they're really good, like.
This is the point.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, you know, you don't need all the, wow, too much stuff. Nobody's gonna remember all that. I'm a big believer. And the more simple it is, the more memorable it is. If you're not remembering everything, you're remembering a few things. Focus on a few things. What they need to know is, you know, is this.
But that little arrow thing there, that's something totally you made up, right?
Yeah, but the content of it is very similar. Because if you look at the content, it just says, realtor consultation, lender consultation, this is contingency.
Okay.
You can't see that, there's contingency, this is counter offer, and offer accepted, and this is escrow. Final walkthrough, title transfer, custody.
So you did that in a scale and Excel with symbols,
Excel, and then you can like,
it's like PowerPoint.
you can PowerPoint it as well, I'm sure you can PowerPoint it. There is a big investment for you guys at this point to work on your business. You guys probably heard working in your business and on your business. Right now, working this, I'm gonna ask a question for time. What's the difference between working in the business and working on your business?
This coming in trainings and things are working on your business. Making the contacts and the phone calls are working in your
That
business.
is correct. Right, so there's a certain balance point for on your agents right now to work on your business as much as it is to work in your business. Right, because working on your business is putting all this together, putting your buyer's brief together, putting, you know, all these presentations together. So that when it comes to working in your business, you have everything that you got. What you don't want to happen is you have that listening presentation, like, what did I present, what I did, right? You wanna screw up on a role play so that you get graded. Right? You don't wanna screw up, I mean, my kid was playing basketball, I said, hey, like, she's doing layup drill, she's trying to practice one-handed layup, I'm like, don't practice it during the game, practice it when we're shooting you. Why are you practicing during the game? You wanna practice on role play, I wanna do another 30-minute role play, just do that break up, so that I think that's gonna be more valuable, right?
On budget presentation?
We can do bio presentation, I mean, there's a couple of topics, but it sounds like bio presentation should be a pretty big thing, so I think we could go by that.
I just really quick wanted to just tell you, thank you. My heart is all the. I always kind of was like, okay, well, maybe I'll cross that road when I get to it, like, I'm setting up, you know, buying the things that I need now, but like. You even pushed it further, like getting my open house signs ready, getting my buyer presentation ready, getting my list, like, I didn't even think to do all that until. Time has needed, and I think that's probably a great idea.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot.
It's okay, I'm trying to space it out.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
and then there's almost like all this stuff coming at you, like what I do first, right? So you gotta want, so part of it is also then learning how to allocate your time accordingly, because you gotta say, I'm gonna just focus on this day. And then today I'm gonna kick out into my lead generation, right, because that's what I'm gonna do. But if you don't time block, you don't plan it, nothing can happen.
Nothing gets done.
Nothing can happen. Plan it and stick to it. Plan it and stick to it, yes.
question. So this is your, that's your standard buyer presentation. It doesn't change. You have it in your car, and then when you go to a presentation, you pull it out. And
You know, I mean, I trained, like, I don't put the touring cap for everything.
Well, I know that I'm just.
Yeah, I put the content,
But the basic concepts.
content is for what I just saying. So you don't have to do it in new buyers every time. Yeah, it's content. is there.
I have a quick question. Now, after you do an open house and when you follow up with the, yeah. How many times a week you talk with them? You don't wanna acquire them with so much, right? Because they're not gonna be.
Hopefully you have it, you know, you have the phone number, right? By the way, guys, when you call, you don't get it the first time. What do you guys do?
Oh, yeah, and then
You
send
did
it
voicemail?
I do, yes.
You did voicemail on the first call?
Yes, no, I text. You leave a voicemail, I text them, call them 2-3 times, they still won't answer me, I kind of leave them alone a little bit, but at least I left a text and a voicemail. Mhm.
So, I know what I do, I don't know if that's wrong, this is what I do. I call, they don't pick up, I don't voicemail,
Okay.
because then they, I don't want them to know that it's my number and hey, like, it's supposed to go, they don't want that, they want to do that. So, I think some people call that, just miss call.
Mhm.
Right, so you like to call them. I call in the morning, no one picks up, I call them in the afternoon, then I'll put it up.
Mhm.
I don't think we have a say that they can call it on the different phone. If they don't respond back again, then the next day I'll call them voice again. Right, and then I'll need to do my trip as well, but then I'll have to do my. If they don't respond that day, then.
Until you actually get someone in.
Well, I mean, again, like you said, we call 10 times, or then it's not that. They don't call it, they follow up every so often.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, if it's a hot read, then obviously I'm more engaged in trying to contact voicemail, you know.
Mhm.
Name of the game is follow.
Mhm.
The name of the game is follow. Nothing happens on the first call. Nothing ever happens on the first call. And if it does, great. Any other questions about this? No? Any other questions about anything else? Before we break into 30 minutes of role play.
How old is that picture of you?
So that,
How old is that picture of you? That doesn't look like you.
which one?
What do you have on the front of this thing, man?
Wait, that one?
Have different-
Oh, that's like. Oh, no, no, come down back to you. Wait, come on. Is it better or worse? What do you mean? It's better. That's like real estate. You have to sort what's the person. That's actually really fleshed out on the screen. Yeah, that is. And any other non-personal? All right, so let's do this. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, there's 9. Yeah, but I actually want you guys to partner up. So that you guys can do a bio presentation or a bio presentation. Okay, have you guys done it before? Have you guys role played or bio presentation?
No, I haven't.
We've done like living presentation, like.
Yeah.
Like,
Why don't you guys do one-on-one bio presentation for the next 30 minutes and kind of rotate? Take it from A to Z. And if you guys
Oh, okay.
If you guys want, I can just leave this up and you guys can use this as reference.
You gonna pull up your flyer,
This part here. and-
that's fine. Oh, me.
I can see it.
Otherwise, you want to walk up there? you can do that.
Yeah, and buy it. And then that's what I'm saying. Yeah, buy it.
I use that as an example.
Yeah.
Do that. Oh, there you go. Buy it.
Are you? I actually am really hungry right now.
Right, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, yeah, this is the fire.
Yeah.
We did it with a seller from a seller.
562.
Yeah.
Let it order, basically. 6-1.
Yeah.
Seller, it was like from like seller.
I thought.
You can buy it, you can buy it. Yeah, we did it.
Get it?